Hey everyone, you're listening to the official podcast of 4playernetwork.com. Check us out at that address for everything you need to know about our community, monthly giveaways, and nightly live streams. You can even support us on Patreon at patreon.com/4player. And last but not least, you can catch the live recordings of these podcasts every single Thursday night on our Twitch channel. We hope to see you there. Enjoy. Welcome to 4Player Podcast. This is episode 668. It's January 28th, 2021. My name is Nick Henderson. Joining me tonight is Brad Simons.
What's up?
Nolan Hedstrom.
How's it going, everybody?
Christopher Davis.
Good
I
evening.
almost said Christopher David. Sorry. Try this again. Christopher Davis.
Good evening.
And David Lau.
Hey, what's up?
Welcome back. How have you been doing, David? Anything new and exciting in your life?
Yeah, I'm okay. Just working a lot.
Yeah, well,
I've been going to the gym a lot in the morning. I'm working out with this guy from high school. He's a personal trainer now. He's having me lift weights every day.
Yeah.
Let's see those pythons.
Yeah, you're gonna just wait till summer rolls around, dude.
Anyways, let's we actually have a lot to talk about tonight, guys. We have David, you've been playing Hitman. Nolan, you've been playing Hitman. Both. Brad, did you ever end up getting Hitman 3 and starting it?
Yeah, I've started it, but you know.
Okay. So a lot of us here have been playing some Hitman 3. I haven't, but most of us have. So we'll talk about that.
Did you end up picking up the game?
Strangely enough, I pre-ordered the game. It still hasn't shipped. It says it won't ship until March. So I'm
what,
just
for PS5 or what?
For PS5, yeah.
Okay.
But don't worry, we'll talk. I have some input on Hitman. My situation with Hitman's been very weird. I'm sure that will come into play at some point tonight when we're talking about Hitman. But that didn't sound
about
good.
How you're bad at it and stupid.
Exactly, precisely.
Dude, I'm telling you, you guys need to put a blood pressure gauge on the side of the feed, dude. Just watch it rise, dude.
Just for me. Oh God.
We could do that. We can get some electronic blood pressure devices for all of us to show all of our blood pressures.
There's probably a web API.
If somebody can make that happen, I'll do it. I don't give a shit. Because then, can you imagine how off the rails podcast will go if we're constantly joking about watching people's blood pressure go up and down? It'd be terrible.
No,
Anyways,
we would be purposely trying to sabotage one another.
Well, exactly. Yeah, I mean that is the fun of that concept. But you know what? I would be willing to try it for at least one episode. But anyways, before we get too far, we're going to talk about Hitman. We're going to talk about Monster Hunter Rise, and we're going to talk about Resident Evil 8, specifically the demo and the news from that weird showcase.
PS5, right?
The demo is only on PS5, yes. But I recorded the whole thing.
That's my fuck
So if you watch
You
watch
recorded the whole
footage,
thing, and it's still gonna have to loop during our conversation.
it will. Yes, it is exactly 10 minutes. It is exactly 10 minutes. So, but if you haven't seen it, you can watch the whole demo in its entirety while we talk about it on the show. That is, of course, if you're watching us live over at twitch.tv/4playerpodcast. But anyways, quick reminder: last week was our 2020 awards show. We ended up breaking that episode into 5 parts. So there were 5 episodes released last week. We did over 20 awards. Check it out.
Well, that's why you said there was 5 episodes, dude.
Otherwise, it would have been like a 4.5 hour long podcast.
I thought you were talking about the one that I was on. I was like, why did you break it?
No.
Why did you so?
Definitely not.
That being said, the YouTube version is in full, so you get the full 4 hours.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to split that up. But yeah, check that out. Award show from last week. But now it's time to get into games from 2021. The first one starting, of course, with Hitman. So why don't we just start
right
there?
into Hitman.
We're going right into Hitman. It is the new thing. It's the thing everybody here has been playing.
I'm assuming I'm the only one who beat it.
not even out yet, so that's pretty new.
Well, that's true. But
it will be new on its release date. But until then,
so
you're correct, David. Since you and I are really the only ones playing it, and Brad just started, I have not beaten it yet. No.
Hey,
pretty
I'm on this level.
Well, I'm just trying to be careful. I don't want to spoil stuff for you guys, right?
Sure.
Because y'all don't care about story.
Some people do. Yes,
I mean,
I would say we can talk about this without talking about the story.
So
There's plenty to talk about in this game.
Level right now.
I'm playing this level right now. In the footage. Yeah. I had intended to play more, but there's something I realized about this game. This is not a oh, I'm fucking tired at the end of the day. Let's just turn something on for a little bit. This requires like a lot of like mental investment and focus. Otherwise, you're just like fucking around, you know.
Do you not feel that way about Hitman 1 and 2? Because I've only played 12 hours of Hitman.
So hold on, Nick. I'll like that's kind of what I said. There's a couple of ways you can approach this game. You can approach it David's way and just go in guns ablaze and fuck around, do whatever you want, have fun. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with playing the game.
I would argue that that's the way you should go into it the first time, so you can learn the layouts.
So generally, what I will do often is when I start a level, I'll just kind of let whatever happens. I will explore on purpose. I will not necessarily try to complete my mission objective. I would just kind of learn the land, because sometimes it is good to figure out, oh, there's a vent over here I can access. Oh, there's some poison over here. Oh, if I had a lockpick with me, I could go in this door on this side of the building. And so, like, kind of just messing around is fine. And then you can maybe go in now with that knowledge and now approach it the more serious way and actually try to, you know, be an assassin or a hitman.
Can I say something real quick about this footage, Nolan? Because I'm on this level. How do you get this dude's outfit before he even gets into the... Did you do that in the footage? I just wasn't paying attention.
I just let him go into...
Whose footage is this?
Doesn't this guy go...
I thought it was Brad's. So here's the problem is I couldn't get... We're talking about the mansion level, right?
Yeah, sure.
There's a mansion. There's some old bat up in the tower, and you got to kill her. And coincidentally, her brother has died. Huh?
She's an old bat.
She's an old bat. And then
she's a lady.
Coincidentally, her brother has died, so she's hired a private investigator to come to the mansion and investigate his death because she thinks there's foul play. And also, it's fucking stupid. She faked her death too, so everybody thought she was dead. That fucking doesn't make any sense. She faked her death to pretend she's dead. Her brother dies. Then she's like, "Oh wait, I'm still alive, but I'm gonna hire this private investigator to come figure out who actually."
Hold on, David. Take a step back. The reason she faked her death was because she was trying to get, and it's not a spoiler, Brad. She was trying to get all her kids to come to this place, and she knew they wouldn't come if she asked her.
Yeah, it was like a Knives Out sort of thing.
Yes, and so yes, it is very much like Knives Out, and that's kind of one of the reasons
Guys, you've got to try to not talk over each other.
I still want to go back to my first question to Nolan.
How do you get
this dude's outfit before he gets into the fucking house?
No. See, you didn't see Nolan did it. Nolan like threw something, and he was like, and he just walked over into the bushes. And then
I hid in the bushes. I threw a coin. As soon as he came over to get the coin, I just knocked him out.
I didn't have any
pulled
coins.
him into the bushes.
I didn't have any coins.
You start with coins.
You always have a coin, dude.
You always have coins.
You always have a coin.
At almost every level, you start with coins.
Hitman pro tip: you always have a coin.
All right, guys.
But anyway,
we need to rein this conversation in a little bit.
When did you get it?
I agree.
When did you get him?
What I wanted to say is that this game, more so than the previous games, I think, in the series, I think it is, and maybe this is some people don't like it, there's a little more element to the story-driven aspects of the levels, and that's why
there's a lot.
All the missions, but the thing is,
related to, there's like a cohesive.
Correct.
What's the word?
But the thing is, you don't have to follow them all. You can ignore them. You can just fucking run straight in and shoot your target. And in one level, not this one, a different one, I kind of shot some stuff in the environment that caused some people to freak out. And all of a sudden, both my targets showed up in one place. I shot both of them with a sniper through each of their heads in a single bullet, and then I left. You leave the level. You can just leave. And like that wasn't following any of the mission at all. Like it's one of those things where. While there are multiple like of the plot story points you can follow, you can ignore them if you want. Maybe you can start one of those plot things to kind of get you in the door, because maybe it'll help you. Oh, if I disguise myself as this person, I'm able to get in, and then I can, go and do this, and then just completely ignore the story mission.
Can I tell you how I play this game, or all of these games? And I kind of want to ask a question too, especially now that I'm on this level, is I turn off, I don't use the supervision, of course. I've talked about that. But I also don't do the story missions because I feel like they lead you down like a path of waypoints that say, go here and now do this, and now do this, and now do this.
Definitely.
Yes and no. So that is definitely a thing in this game. I feel like I liked the way they do it in this level, mainly because...
I was thinking about doing it for this level because the setup's cool.
It makes sense. Yes. Yes.
Correct. So this just happens to be, because it is a murder mystery, the setup is go here, there's a dead body, talk to the butler, he gives you some clues, and now it is do whatever. It literally is explore the house, investigate things, talk to people. You don't have to like actually follow that plot thread. I mean, you can, and it will get you there, but it's also one of those things where you can like, oh, the butler did it, or oh, the sister did it. You can kind of come to your own kind of conclusion and go with that. And that's actually one of the cooler things I liked about this. The previous level to this one, it wasn't that good. The level after this, like the main story kind of threads you can follow aren't the best. I think I like that those elements are there, that you can follow those threads, but I also like that you can don't. Brad, in regards to your supervision,
I thought there was a way to turn it. I thought there was a way to tweak the settings to where you can see interactables but not see people, and I can't find that option.
Yeah, I don't think you can. You definitely can in this, Brad, because I was trying to find it because that's what I want. Because especially in this like level, there are so many things you can interact with. There's so many clues, and I realized I passed a lot of stuff the first time I played this, and so I ended up turning on the supervision because I was trying to find some of the things I missed because I knew I did because they were like, oh, you don't have this one key, and I was like, I feel like I've fucking been in every room. I played this level for like 3 hours, and I felt like I had been in every room multiple times, and so it wasn't until I turned on that supervision that I found those items I hadn't originally seen. But yes, it sucks that I want to be able to not see my target.
So you can turn off the blue option, or you can turn off all the things on the top left that tell you what to do and where to go, including the waypoints for the missions if you want. Which, the reason I played the game this way is because, one, that's how older Hitman games used to be prior to this modern trilogy, and the games are still built that way. So you definitely don't need to rely on all these enhanced visions and waypoints and like scripted missions because they can still be played like a classic Hitman way.
I mean, it's weird because those were introduced obviously as an accessibility feature because it's something that makes it far less daunting, especially maybe someone like me who was like kind of put off by this game for that exact reason in the first place. But at the same time, once you get comfortable with it, not being able to turn it off is bizarre.
Well, so Nick, the reason I would say that those are, I don't want to say necessary, but I would say they are a big help is mainly just because these levels are fucking massive. The level after this is ridiculously huge.
That's probably the most impressive thing about this game is just the size, the scope, the amount of people, especially with next gen where it like loads super fast. Like I was playing Hitman 1 and I was like, oh, should I finish 1 and then go to 2 and then go to 3? But I was like, dude, I don't want to do that. I just want to put it in 3. I want it to load fast because you're saving, you're reloading a lot. You don't want to deal with.
But
that
I mean,
stuff,
so Brad, I don't think you have to play with those story beats, but I think that's definitely something that anyone's welcome to do because if you look at Blood Money has always kind of been one of those like the quintessential Hitman game. But then if you look at the fucking the Mafia whatever dude level, you enter, you knock out the clown who wants hot dogs, you go inside, you shoot the guy, and then you can leave. It's such a tiny area. It's like the size of the fucking garden.
It's
that
small,
is in this level.
But I'd still prefer. Well, you're right. You're right. They are a lot smaller, and that's why there's more levels. I do kind of wish that there were. Well, I mean, I don't know. Well, like the way Modern Hitman does it is fine to have these giant levels, but I would prefer that they would just have twice as many levels in like half the size, and just have different hits in different locales. But
it's probably just easier on development to have a few larger levels and then just give you more things to do in those levels. There's 15 different ways to approach it.
I don't even think it's necessarily about giving you things to do. It's literally about, like, if they spend more time crafting these, like, much larger levels, there's just this sense of, like reality, I get, or like this real world feel that was kind of lacking in those other games. And like you really only get that through like tediously crafting these like insanely large levels. If these were much smaller, I don't think they would have had nearly as much detail. They would have felt very gated, and like they'd funnel you down paths more. I feel like, I don't know.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just saying, like, sure. But there are some levels that are so big that they feel like they're just multiple maps stitched together.
So I mean, I had an issue, and this is maybe where I'll interject my my current dilemma that I'm having with Hitman, because I went back and I started playing Hitman 1, and I played like 3 levels in Hitman 1, and then I got to Colorado level, I think is the one.
Yeah.
And man, everything that's kind of just been like under the surface bothering me about this series just kind of bubbled to the surface and like just really got under my skin, and I stopped. To the point where I was like, I guess I'm just putting this down again. And I don't, and I can't quite put my finger on what it is. I've tried to explain this in chat, and I just feel like it's not getting through to people. Maybe that's just because I'm weird, but like, there's something about the loop of this game that I just fundamentally don't like, which is basically everyone has the same suggestion. You play the game, play a level the first time, and you don't give a shit about anything. You just run around and you figure things out, and then you go back in and try and be like an assassin. But that's just not the way my brain works. Like, I want to play each one of these levels once and have that be my experience for that level and move on.
You can.
So like,
sure.
you can, but like every time I fuck something up, I feel the urge to reload, and every time I feel the urge to reload, I feel less like an assassin.
Wait, reload what? The whole level?
No, just the most like.
But
most
what
recent
do you
checkpoint.
consider a fuck up though? That's the question.
Like,
because are you trying to get through it without killing a single person, or
No, definitely not. I'm definitely killing people. It's
I mean,
it's
that's,
more
that's
of like
what I do.
Like I come around a corner, I accidentally walk past what I didn't realize was like a checkpoint, and then someone freaks out, and then someone starts just like shooting me with like a very loud like assault rifle and calling.
Yeah, I would reload there.
And people start swarming. Like that's there's no going back from that pretty much.
So Nick, I will say that they've improved that in these more recent games, like especially this one. Generally, when you're approaching an area where you're not supposed to be, there's usually guys there like, "Hey, buddy, you can't be here." They usually give you a pretty good warning,
but
before
even then,
you
like,
all of a sudden just start getting shot.
This game is almost like way too obvious. Like,
okay, but here's the other half. Here's the other half of the problem that I'm having, because that was just kind of like the foundational problem I had. Like the bigger problem I think I have, and this came to light very heavily when I was playing the Colorado level, is I was running around trying to figure out the level. It was going well, and I was finding all of these things that were very obviously opportunities for taking people out, like in unique and creative ways, right? And then I realized I have like in my head I have like 6 or 7 things that I've just kind of filed, like, oh, I can do this, and this, but there's 4 targets on the map, and they're all wandering around, crossing, into other people's territories, just going on their own path, doing whatever. And I couldn't decide which one I wanted to do in time to pull it off, just as someone was like approaching the moment of opportunity. And sometimes there's those opportunities are very specific to a very specific person, because only one person's path crosses, that point where you can like drop something on them or make something blow up or whatever it may be. I don't know. So like I just ended up frozen half the time. And there was one point where I had like 3 targets wandering around the map, and I had like 4 different things that I wanted to try and pull off. And I kept like just like, oh, I can do this or this, and I played an hour and a half in that mission. I didn't kill a single fucking person because I couldn't focus on any one option long enough.
Oh, two things, Nick.
It was
a statement and a question. The statement is, I think that's like the hardest level of the entire trilogy. Probably. I have not finished this game. Second of all,
I'll tell you right now, Brad, that's the hardest level, because there's nothing difficult.
Yeah, I think they've gotten easier as they've gone along. But
then maybe I should just skip Hitman 1.
You're almost done with it anyways.
Yeah, there's only one more level.
My question for you is
that's not how my brain works.
What's wrong with like reloading? I was playing the first level of Hitman 3, and I was playing it for like a couple of hours, and I reloaded like a whole shit ton.
No, I know.
And I was enjoying fucking with it every time.
I know, and that's what I'm trying to articulate here, because my brain does not enjoy that. Because when I think about playing Hitman, the reason I was interested in playing Hitman in the first place is because I want to feel like an assassin. I want to feel like a badass.
Assassin.
But every time I fuck something up and something goes wrong and I have to reload, I feel less like a badass. So I just get frustrated.
Hold on, Nick. Here's the thing with that. Hitman Agent 47 did not become a hitman in 10 minutes.
Right.
It's one of those things where you have to
Training,
go in with that
dude.
mentality that he spent hours and hours and years and years and years training, and you expect to be at his level in 5 minutes. Like, there's nothing wrong with playing something and then
Nick, you never
saving and
played-
reloading and trying to figure it out because you don't have that
guys.
history. You don't have that training. So,
all
Nick,
I'm trying to explain.
That's what I do. That's
All
what I
I'm
do.
trying to
I fuck
explain-
up, I reload and I try again.
All I'm trying to explain, though, is that, like, I have no control over it. When I reload, my brain just tells me this is not fun. I don't want to do this anymore.
What about Metal Gear Solid? Because you play the Metal Gear Solid series, right? When you get alerted, like you're okay, or Assassin's Creed, you get alerted and you're okay running around and diving in a barrel of hay.
I mean, those are, well, I mean, first of all, Assassin's Creed is open world. You can just jump on a
Metal
horse
Gear
and-
Solid's a better example for sure.
I mean,
this is the
that's
kind of thing that happened to Metal Gear
frustrating
Solid as well.
This
and I brought up the example from last year of Desperados, of where you're constantly reloading and that trying to
not
get
the
it just
same
right.
thing. Not the same thing.
But here's the thing: your frustrations that you're having with Hitman, you were saying the same things about Desperados when you first started.
No, I wasn't.
You were. You
I
were
mean,
getting frustrated about the trial and error.
Well, no, if you
you were.
Guys, okay, I'm just gonna stop talking.
Well,
I can't get a word out, and people keep telling me like how I'm feeling about this game, and this is part of my frustration with it. Nobody understands how I feel about this game to the point where now I don't think I understand how I feel about this game. So I'm just kind of like, I don't want to play this anymore.
Nick,
It's just
I
it's a
think-
weird.
That makes sense. I mean, I get that.
Well, so Nick, I think like I don't know what you're saying is how I play it, but I guess I don't feel bad when I fuck up and try again. Like, and I just feel like when I fuck up, I'm like, oh, I fucked up. I didn't realize that guy was there. Now I know when I reload that he's going to be there, so I'm going to skirt around this way and take him out.
Yeah.
Like, I use my fuck ups as a learning tool
I mean,
to
I
make
do too.
myself better.
How
For
do you
me,
think
it's
I've
like-
finished 5 levels at this point? I mean, I'm doing it.
It's such
just
an
like,
intricate web of systems.
getting-
I kind of like reloading over and over and fucking.
I'm
with
getting-
it,
But
you
it's
know.
like the randomness, right? Like, cause I like the randomness of it. Just the
All
fact
I'm
that
trying-
like sometimes there's a dude, I just go kill him, and somebody just walks in like, ooh, and just walks in the room and like, oh, now I got to shoot this guy, you know, just, and then this next time he might not be there.
I mean, the best experiences I've had with Hitman so far have been the moments where I've had to improvise the last second and like take somebody out in an unexpected way. But like it doesn't involve me fucking up and reloading and pulling that off. Like the game clicks for me when everything, even when it doesn't go as planned, I still pull things off. But that doesn't happen very often. Most of the time, when I fuck something up, it's just like I guess I'm reloading, and it's just like a diminishing return. Like I'm getting less and less out of the experience every time that happens to me.
I mean,
and
I get that. I get that.
it got so bad. Like I went from like super excited to play Hitman 3 to like, hey, they've pushed my pre-order back until March, and I was like, I don't even care.
The
Like,
thing is,
maybe
I think
I'm
we
not playing it.
I think we are fundamentally like looking for different things because so I was playing that first level the other night and I got into a situation where like I had in my mind, okay, I want to do this and I'm gonna make it happen. And Malia's watching me and I was like, okay, this guy's gonna enter the art exhibit and I'm gonna fucking take out one of his guards to become his guards, right? That's what I had. That's the plan I had in my head, right? This guy's being followed by 2 of his guards. And like I was trying for like 20 minutes to make it happen, and it kept fucking up, but it was hilarious. Like and I realized I come to Hitman for those moments when I'm constantly screwing up and I just can't get it right, but I'm so stubborn. Like I know there's a way to do it, and just watching me fail, I'm laughing, Malia's laughing, and I realized like all our old Hitman clips, people love those because they're hilarious and they're me just fucking up.
To Brad's point, and Bernadette's even talking about it in chat right now. What happens is I try, like at the end of the day, if you take out all of my reloads, I have a perfect run. I always try and end these with Silent Assassin, but that's because when I fuck up, I reload. But here's the thing. When I fuck up, I don't press start, reload. I fuck around for a couple minutes. I start shooting people. I start blowing things up. I just have a good time. I like blow someone up with like a remote explosive, or I start knocking people over. And I just kind of fuck around. It relieves my like tension from just having fucked up. And then I reload and I try again. Yeah. But like I always try and find like, well, now that I fucked up, I don't have the pressure of being perfect anymore because I just fucked up. So let me fuck around for a minute. Let me go put some poison or some chloroform in the AC vent real quick and poison all these people in this room. And then like there was one point where I was trying to poison a lady in a room. there was an air vent in there. She was in there by herself. So I thought I put poison in the air vents, but I accidentally put chloroform. So it didn't kill her, just knocked her out. And I was like, well, fuck, she's not dead, but I want to get, like, I don't want to shoot her because it's not silent assassin or whatever to take out your target. You want to make it look like an accident. So instead, I just fucked up with the wires on an electrical cable. I dragged her body over to it, and then I shot the water cooler that was near it, and water poured out, and she just electrocuted, and I was, got it. It's like one of those things where, like, I don't know. Like, I guess I just don't take the fuck ups. Like Brad said, I just try to make them fun because, like I said, at the end of the day, when I end a level, I love ending with Silent Assassin. Like, oh, I was never actually there. But like, I still have fun when I'm just fucking around in the world.
I think I told you in Discord the other day, but you know the "Who Wants Hot Dogs" that Hitman clip? You remember that one, Nick?
Well, of course.
Welcoming you to the neighborhood with hot dogs. That was me casing the joint. That clip exists because I was like, fuck it. I'm just going to knock this guy out. I'm going to run around this house and learn the layout while screaming hot dogs. And it turned into a clip. And the joke was, you know, I mean, obviously, you understand the joke, but
I do get the joke, yes.
Well,
but
how much pressure are you putting yourself, Nick? Because, like,
A lot.
trying to
Unnecessary
beat,
pressure.
No,
a lot,
but
yes.
like trying to beat Hitman 1 and 2 before 3 comes out, like the 2 weeks before.
Well, it's not so much a pressure issue anymore because my copy of Hitman 3 isn't even coming until March.
Yeah,
so...
I know, but I mean, I wonder how if you would have enjoyed it if you just picked up Hitman 3. It's like, all right, just play this.
I mean, the thing is, I was really enjoying, like, so I did it in a weird order because I started playing Hitman 2 first, and I was like, I really like the feel of this. It was actually giving me like James Bond vibes, and I was like, okay, maybe I do want to go play Hitman 1. So I booted up Hitman 1, and now I'm working my way through that, but like. The levels that I was playing in Hitman 2, I was enjoying more than the ones I'm playing in Hitman 1. I don't know. It's just maybe I'm just going about this entirely wrong way.
Yeah.
But like I don't know what it is, but I'm putting a lot of undue pressure on myself, I guess. But like maybe Brad's right. Maybe we're going to it for different things and
so play Bond. I have a feeling they're going to completely screw things up and make
Bond,
the perfect game for you and a terrible game for me. But the good news is they're staffing up for it, so it's not going to be some low budget thing.
But Bond is not all about silent killing, right? There's the big gunfights and AK-47.
I mean, maybe we don't know yet.
It's going to be more Kane and Lynch than Hitman, maybe.
I mean, a Bond game, even an IO Interactive Bond game, seems to me like it fundamentally has to be more than just this. I think this will obviously play a role. I have no doubt there will probably be levels in this new Bond game that are reminiscent of Hitman. But they're also going to incorporate driving levels and fucking just big budget. I mean, you know what?
No, they basically said they're not doing that. No,
really?
Motorcycle, dude. You got to put them on a motorcycle.
I mean, what kind of Bond movie doesn't have?
This isn't Mission Impossible 3.
Yeah, put him in space, dude, with like laser Moonraker.
Also, remember that
Nick,
this
what I will say is you can play this game as if 47 was James Bond, as long as you don't care about getting Silent Assassin. It's one of those things where, why not? You can go around and shoot dudes left and right. If you get caught, you can shoot guys, and then you know what you do? You go around a corner, you knock a guy out, take his outfit, and just walk away, and they stop caring about you.
I know.
Like, I mean, that is like a perfectly fine thing to do.
Like there is a Hitman level that was.
What you need to do is you like that band Drowning Pool, right?
Oh my god, what?
Right?
Oh my god.
Nick, you like Drowning Pool?
What are you doing? David, first of all, fuck you. What are you doing?
Why? What's wrong?
Don't. Oh my god.
Okay, so hold on. Before we move on from this, I did want to bring up
that one song.
Duff?
I wanted to bring up that I've actually been having quite a few buggy things happening in this game, like significantly buggy. I kind of brought it up in the Discord the other day. Correct. That I've had multiple scenarios where the story, if you are following the story, just gets broken. There was one point where my target, I accidentally triggered something, and so she went to some other part of the world, and then I was following the story beat, and I'm like, oh, supposed to be following this lady to go and meet the director of this place, and they're like, all right, and she'll be right here, and I pulled up like the the supervision, and I could see her like fucking 500 meters away on the opposite side of the map, and the lady was like just standing there like as if she was supposed to be there, and so I like kind of walked away, and it's like, story mission failed, and I was like, what the fuck? And then there was another scenario where I was following somebody, and they're like, "Oh, follow me," and they're like walking and talking, and I kind of got distracted and I looked at something, and then she was like, "Are you gonna come or not?" And I was like, "Oh, sorry." And so I kind of follow up, and then she's just standing there, and she's like, "I guess he's not coming," and I'm like, she's like a foot in front of me, and then walks away. There was a moment on the first level where I like knocked my target off the roof, and he dropped an item, and as soon as I picked up the item, like I can't remember if the game crashed or like the level crashed or something, and then it corrupted all of my saves. I couldn't reload another save. I had to completely like delete them and restart. So I've been having quite a few. And don't get me wrong. Once again, it's not putting me down. I'm still loving this game. I'm still having a fantastic time playing it. But it is just definitely not perfect, and I think that might be a symptom of it being such like a fucking massive game with 10,000 ways to interact with the enemies and 48 different ways to kill them and stuff like that.
Wait till you get to the last level, though. I hear that's a train wreck.
All right, so has anyone here actually beaten the game yet?
David.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have
Was
a
that
very
last level a train wreck?
Yeah, it's you could say it's very linear.
It's a train, isn't it? It's on a fucking train, isn't it?
It's not even a Hitman level. It's like a Hitman Absolution level.
It's not a Hitman level.
Yikes.
I have a very important question.
That's why Green Toast said, Nick, maybe you should try it because you might like it.
Well, answer Chris Davis. Answer Chris Davis's question, and then I have a question.
Yeah, now I have a question for Brad.
I have to know, is Sheik Zanzibar somewhere in Hitman 3?
Who?
Sheik Zanzibar.
Yeah, that's
Dude cares way too much about Hitman.
Never.
Yeah.
There is in Hitman 1 and Hitman 2, there's a Sheik that runs around. He's only in one level each, but it's hilarious what you can do with him. And
what did you do with the Sheik, Chris Davis?
He or Sheik may or may not be in this game. I don't know.
Damn.
You know what? Wait, what is Drowning Pool?
Shut it down.
No topic or something?
What?
Is Drowning Pool? I said Drowning Pool earlier, and it seemed like it was like a bad thing to talk about or something.
I think it was just because you were getting off topic.
No, Drowning Pool is very on topic with Hitman, dude. What's their most favorite song?
Drowning Pool hasn't been relevant since I was in high
but what's
school.
their most favorite song, dude? They start the
Bodies?
song. Yeah, exactly. They start the song and they're whispering. Yeah. And I'm like, and what did they say, Nick?
I'm not doing that.
Every time I play this game, dude, I just have that song in the back of my head.
Damn it, what's that?
That song is in
how's that
my
Tool song go? The piece
is fit.
No. Yeah. David, so that last train level, that is a train wreck and linear. Besides, is it fun at the end of the day?
I've seen footage. It looks like what the.
Okay, so I'm not spoiling anything, right?
No, well, you shouldn't spoil it, I guess.
I just wanted to know if it's fun.
I've heard really good things about this final level, whatever it is.
Well, let's just say there's nobody on my train anymore. Not a single person is on my train.
I don't think you're supposed to sneak through it. I think it's supposed to be like Gears of War.
Oh, hold on.
David,
I just finished the level in China.
The bodies hit the floor?
Yeah. No, it's literally.
Is the train level the one after China?
No.
There's another one.
Chongqing, and then
Chongqing.
Yeah. Chongqing, and then there's like 2 or 3 more levels after Chongqing.
Oh, okay.
I
just finished.
I think there's 6 total new levels.
Oh, okay.
You know, we got a little off track here.
I do want to ask Brad about something. What were we talking about, Brad? I texted you. We were like, wait, save that for the show. Don't talk to me about it now. I don't know. Okay, so y'all are okay. We talked about the AI, and you're okay with the shitty AI, the dumb AI in this game.
It's pretty bad in this game.
It's forgiving. It's forgiving.
Yeah, that's what the topic was. Dumb AI in stealth games.
And his
stealth
argument was that
wouldn't work without dumb AI.
Right, exactly. It's like, well, because I feel like this game is stuck between 2 extremes, right? The extreme of like, as soon as you're seen, immediately game over, failure, right? Versus like I'm sitting here, I'm like dragging a dead body across the lawn. Everybody sees me. They all point their guns at me. Like, sir, put the body down. And then I pull the corpse into some bushes, and they all go, well, where'd he go? And then they start searching the bushes for me.
That's not what I was referring to when I said dumb AI. I'm more
it's
of like
pretty bad.
That seems broken. That seems like they didn't intend for you to drag an entire body outside the building and into the bushes.
There's one where I threw the lady out the window and she like splats on the floor, and I walk outside and there's like a dude just standing there like holding his space. Day. Yeah, he's just holding his space, and the dead body's on the floor, and he's just like, "Hi there."
I was more referring to like the "Hey, what's that?" And like the way they investigate, like seeing a body and stuff. It's not realistic as in the way the people interact, but it makes for like a fun stealth game. I feel like if you're going to design a stealth game, the people need to be kind of dumb. Yeah, otherwise, it just doesn't.
It's tremendously bad. I feel like in this one, man. Where like two people are talking and I just shoot one of them and the other guy's like just stops talking. I'm like, okay, I guess
I have not had that.
What you're talking about doesn't seem like the. I've shot
anyway. No, you can ask people who are watching me broadcast this, dude. It's like nonstop. Like I have so many clips, dude.
But they just stand there and don't react.
Yeah, like they two people are talking. I just shoot one and I'm unprofessional, so I'm not like uncasual or anything.
See, the thing is, here's the secret: the developers are expecting people to not go in guns a-blazing, so they figure no one will notice these things until somebody like David comes along. I mean,
dude, they give you automatic weapons. You unlock automatic weapons in this game.
It's amazing how many times I just turn a corner and run into my target, and I'm like, oh shit, boom, 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 and I just tail it
dude,
off.
But that's what's cool about Hitman.
No, that is
cool.
It's
like you're casing the joint, you're studying everything, you're looking for like tools and stuff, and at the end of the day, like, oh shit, they're still wandering in the same space you are, and coming around a corner and seeing your target. Depending on how no matter how you react, that's still like a cool sensation. It makes it feel like
I think that's the secret for Nick to enjoy this game. Just anytime you feel like pulling the trigger, do it.
No, dude. I tell you right now, like I had a moment in playing Hitman 1. The one is that the mission where you go to like the fashion show. That's Hitman 1, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Went to the fashion show level, and the best experience I had in this game was when I just walked around. I didn't fuck up. I just kind of like walked around and explored and kind of just figured things out. And I had smuggled in a sniper rifle. And I was like, what if I just tried to find a good vantage point to take out my target? Because I know there was one on an upper balcony. And I went outside and I got the sniper rifle from the greenhouse or whatever it was. And then I was like, oh, look, there's this construction thing that raises up and down, right? And I was like, what if I just climb to the top of that and see if I can get a good vantage point? And sure enough, I sat up there and I waited for like 5 minutes, and then she walked out onto the deck, took the shot, one shot, headshotted her, and then everyone went into a panic, but I just fucking went down the ladder and walked out the thing. And that was that right there was the most amazing
That's classic
feeling.
Hitman. You've always been able to like,
the more classic it tries to get, I feel like they're more like setting it up. Like y'all are talking about the storyline missions that you don't like. Like that's what I'm saying. Like there's one you're playing how far are you in the mansion, Fred?
I'm not far at all. I don't like them, but other people do. Chris Davis loves them.
The mansion?
No, like the little
scripted
story stuff.
There are
yeah, I really like that stuff.
Well, there's X number of ways to do the mansion one, and some of them I feel are very like gimmicky. It's like, oh, well, use this thing on this thing and this thing, and like the mouse trap will like swing and kill them perfectly. And I'm like, okay, that's fun. That's kind of great. But I mean, it's another way to do it. But I feel like it's like that way is.
But you know what you can do? You can pick a pair of scissors up and throw them at their face too.
Yeah, which I did that in the first level.
Like all these,
you're more than welcome to do whatever the fuck you want. No, like I said, you can start a story in this game. Like, oh, I started the detective, so the butler would take me here, so I could get this information. And then once you get in the door, then you can still just do whatever. You don't have to complete
this is
that
why
story.
I love the mansion is by far the best level in this game because it's so big, it's so complex, and because you're dressed up as the investigator, you're just free to walk around like collecting information through the whole time. There's this backdrop of this like, oh well, who did it? And you're really interested in trying to find out who did it and find out all the clues. Like the hit is actually kind of secondary.
I honestly spent more time in this level just trying to figure out what was going on and talking to people than I did actually trying to kill my target.
Hitman's about the journey, not the destination.
But my problem is my biggest problem with this game, or this, I guess, maybe even series, is that like the journey, yes, okay, and you can spend hours walking around casing the thing, but like for me, isn't the quickest distance is a straight line, right? From point A to point B, and it's like, dude, if I can just go from point A to point B, why do I want to make this scenic route all the way around? I'm just trying to kill this guy and get out of here.
Because that's the difference between your brain and my brain, David. I like doing the elaborate not point A to point B is what makes me feel like a hitman.
No, and that's fine, but you understand you're gonna have to sit there and you just literally watch. This is why I wondered if there's ever a spectator mode, because I would love like this top-down camera spectator mode, and you just because you're learning the AI and where she's or he or she's gonna walk around, when she's gonna pick up this wine glass, but you're basically just studying and learning their movement path, right?
But being able to do that while standing in a corner dressed as a butler, just kind of like watching it unfold, is like that's what makes it feel authentic.
No, and that's fine, but
it also makes you a shitty butler.
The problem is you have to do all those things to get there, right? You have to find this dude, get the outfit, then get to here,
and that's the other thing I like, is that it makes the whole level feel like kind of a puzzle. That's why I like the fashion show levels, because there are certain areas that obviously security is kind of like corded off, and like you can't go past. You're not allowed past this point. So it's like, okay, where can I get the costume I need to get past this? And sometimes it involves like, okay, or how can I just bypass this entirely? Like, can I find a vent that I can climb up on the exterior of the building to get to the second floor window? Like stuff like that is really cool. It's just it's when I try and pull things off like that, and then I get really excited about the prospect of what I'm trying to execute, and then it all just falls to shit. That's when I feel like this game has incredible highs and like terrible lows for me anyways. It's just like it's almost never like right in the middle for me.
See, and that's why I said earlier about the extremes. It's either about extreme one way or extreme the other way. It's not.
See, here's for me, those lows aren't when I fuck up. They're honestly like game bugs that are frustrating. For me, fucking up like it's a high for me. Like I still have fun doing it. And Bernadette, like Brad, do you remember when we played Monster Hunter the other day and you heard something on my TV? Mm-hmm. Like that started playing or whatever? That's because I had pulled up a clip from Community because I was trying to show it to Bernadette because it happened in the game where when I mentioned in the that's a good that's a good episode. But in the China level, like I said, what my target went into a room and I chloroformed the room, but she wasn't the only one in there.
Oh, that's the lady you were talking about?
Yeah, there was like 8 other people in that room, and so like, yeah, everyone passed out and was knocked out on the floor. And I was like, wouldn't it be amazing if I had gone in there and just like got knocked out with them? So when they wake up from the chloroform, I'm like, oh guys, we got chloroform. But that's the scene from fucking Community, where they like to get away with accidentally chloroforming somebody. They act like they were chloroformed too. Yeah. But it's just like one of those. It's like you just fuck around. I just have fun. Like honestly, like I never finished Hitman 2, but this is giving me like a new like.
Never finish Hitman
like
2?
Will to go back and play that game again just so I could fuck around more at those levels. Because
let me ask you a question, Nick. Do you consider Dexter a hitman?
Let's move on. Dude, we've been talking about 45 minutes.
I'm just wondering about his like obsession with perfection and like not getting caught.
Oh, Brad, we have to talk about this for 2 more minutes, Brad.
You know,
2 more minutes.
Who's more or of the type of hitman?
If you're seriously asking me a question, maybe that is one of the reasons why I really like Dexter, is because part of the fun of that character.
Dexter.
The difference, because you know who else is a hitman? Keanu Reeves in John Wick, right? And for me, I'm just like, dude, like, don't you have that like there's that lady Nolan's talking about, the blonde hair girl. Like I stalked her down. I found her alone in the room. Oh, that's another thing that's super, 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 super impressive about this game is like kind of like their reactions and like the way it's not like the old Hitman where they're like, like this one they actually have like facial animations. Like when you pull a gun on them, they like, their faces
freak out,
like,
they cover their mouth. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's really animated. But like I found this girl. She's working in the lab, and I just bust in, and she's like, yeah. And then I pull out my gun, and I'm like, and basically I'm just like, run for your life. And she's running down the halls like, and I'm like, I'm coming for you, like I'm Jason or something like that. And people are coming to stop her and trying to stop me, and I'm just mowing them all down. And yeah, eventually I always get my target, dude.
It's I see what you're trying to do. I see what you're trying to do. You're trying to make me feel comfortable about like the run and gun methodology because of
No, the
John
run and gun
Wick.
is terrible.
But
They don't
It's
want you to
terrible.
do that.
The aim's terrible.
But
John-
John's terrible. They don't want you to do that. But that's why you just spray it, dude. Pull the trigger.
Spray
We'll
it,
also
spray it,
say-
spray
Spray
it.
it, dude.
I will also say that he doesn't have his silver ballers, and whatever the fucking gun he has now is a piece of shit. Like even like I've noticed like headshots don't always kill. Like it has to be a direct headshot,
Really?
other's they're not dead.
Maybe
Yeah,
I'm
dude,
playing
there
on the
was
wrong.
there was
Maybe I'm
one
playing on the
level-
wrong mode then. I
Maybe,
thought
I
I
don't
was
know.
on
There was one level-
professional, but
No, your silver
I
ballers
shot
are
a
in
guy.
the game. They're just they're an unlockable.
Okay. Well, anyway, so I shoot a guy with my gun, like in the chest, and his reaction was, "I've been shot." Like I assumed he was
pretty bad, dude. It's
He
so
literally
bad.
was like, "I've been shot."
Well, that's pretty good actually. That's fantastic. All right, we
Speaking
do
of
need to
good,
move on.
Speaking of good,
Yeah, we
this
just
is a
hit
good
47
time to
minutes,
move
so
on.
this is the perfect time to switch.
47. Oh shit.
How long of a footage did you record?
So that's the other problem, and just as to kind of move on from this, I've actually had a lot of issues with their Hitman servers, which was a problem with their first
Oh,
game.
me
but
too.
I've-
Yes. It's disconnected
multiple
like
times-
5 or 6 times on me, like in
just
middle of the level.
mid-level.
Yeah,
Lost connection to the server,
that's
or
true.
going to look like I really wish they would kind of get rid
Disconnect
of
from the
that.
start. Just play offline.
Maybe
Dude,
yeah.
like I can't even pause without it like loading sometimes.
But
just
they
because
gave me
of
some
the server connection.
They gave me some message where it's like the optimal experience is playing like that, like it's feeding you, like it's adapting to your moves, right? That's what it's connecting to the server
Bullshit.
for more horsepower to the brains of the bad guys.
Bullshit.
Wait,
All right, what's next?
Can
What's
Can we get back to Brad's brilliant transition? I guess.
What's
Yes.
good?
Yeah,
Speaking of good,
Speaking of good, we played some Monster Hunter Rise.
We
Yeah.
did.
I only have
y'all play
like
that together,
5
right?
more. I only have like 5 more plays of the demo. It's kind of
oh,
sad.
it's one of those limited number of times.
Brad, I know this means nothing in the grand scheme of things, probably, but I figured I'd tell you anyways. I pre-ordered that game after we played that the other night.
Oh,
I'm pretty excited about it. I mean, it's mostly one of those games, one of those series I've appreciated from afar, and Monster Hunter World's pretty overwhelming to me. But
why was World?
That's why I thought that. Hold on, we can't talk about World. That's why I thought this demo.
No, but why was
be-
World overwhelming? That's what the
Because
question.
Monster Hunter is very overwhelming. It's got a very
this one's
steep
not?
learning curve. No, it
Whoa.
does. It does. But what I'm saying is the demo, they just drop you into it. You don't have to worry about armor. You don't have to worry about your setup. You don't have to
Thank
worry
you.
about all the shit in town. You just go into the demo and
Just
do a
start
hunt.
splashing stuff, right? Pull the trigger.
So it's hiding half the
doing-
experience then.
It's
No, that's
still
good,
a
though.
steep learning curve because the
Yes,
mechanics of a Monster Hunter game are very unique to this series and different from weapon to weapon.
So that's what I want to bring up is Nick had the optimal experience here, whereas I did not start this playing it with Brad, who has hundreds and hundreds of hours in Monster Hunter and Crispy. I started this by myself,
Oh,
knowing nothing, and they
that-
drop
and
you in the
you-
world.
and you messed up like cutting the skins, right? You're like,
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't even know how to fucking attack. Like I was trying to figure out what buttons were what. It's like, in all honesty, this is a bad tutorial for someone new to Monster Hunter. If you're familiar with the series, it's great. But if you're brand new, like this is not how you like Capcom.
it's not an
Monster Hunter
optimal
is a-
way.
Monster Hunter is a bad tutorial for Monster Hunter, dude.
When you start up a new, fresh Monster Hunter for the first time, there are long, extensive tutorials on how to play.
All in
This demo does
Super
not
tech.
have it. There are tutorials zones for each weapon that they go in there and explain, how to do the different moves and stuff. It's just this is for people who already liked Monster Hunter, I guess. I don't know, and just want to try
Then
out
that's a really
the
bad
new
idea.
stuff in Rise. It's not a fucking bad idea.
Yeah, it
because
is. You're
there's a
trying to
lot of-
introduce this franchise to new people. You release a demo and then you don't provide a fucking tutorial?
But the purpose of the demo was to show the things that are specifically new to this Monster
Like
Hunter.
riding-
Brad,
Riding
like,
dog.
Brad,
like the mounting and like
Brad,
Guys.
to Chris Davis's point. Hold on, Nick. Hold on. I know. I'm trying to interrupt him because Chris Davis has a point. Brad, if you had never played this demo, were you going to get this game? It's a yes or no question.
sure. I don't know.
I mean, if you had never
Okay,
played
so-
Monster Hunter, is the
Well,
question.
no. I'm specifically saying, like, if you didn't play this demo, Brad was going to get it because he's a fan of the series. They should not be putting out demos for fans of the series. They should be putting out demos to get people who have never played the games before interested in the game so that they buy
I mean,
it.
yeah, maybe.
I played this
The thing is-
demo solo. Hold on. I played this demo solo for half an hour and I hated it. because I couldn't figure out what the fuck was going on. And the fact that I have to go online and watch a tutorial to how to play the demo is fucking ridiculous.
Here's the thing, Nolan. You're also gonna, when this game comes out, you're gonna have to go online and watch videos too. That's just what this series
Then
is.
that's just poor fucking game design.
Some people will never get into it because of it, because the learning curve is so steep and because the game only tells you so much.
It doesn't have to be. It would be so easy for them to drop you in an area and say, hey, look, bud, press fucking Y to pull out or to eat this thing, and press X to pull out your weapon. It'd be very simple for them to just give me a basic tutorial. There is info in this game, but it is hidden in a menu 4 layers deep in a side menu that, like I said, I spent just staring at the screen, flipping through menus, trying to figure out what the fuck am I supposed to be doing? It would not be difficult for them to spend a few minutes just teaching you the very basics.
I think that's a Japanese thing, though.
Well, or also the fact that it's already the biggest fucking series in Japan, and this is like the 18th fucking entry, and you're right, it's not a great demo for people who are completely new to the series, but this is a demo for an already wildly successful series in 2021. And honestly, I think the reason that Monster Hunter World finally caught on in the West is because the world is very different now than it was in 2003 when the first one came out or whatever, when it seemed impenetrable. Now it's easy to look up a video guide on YouTube. Probably your favorite YouTuber's playing the fucking game, right? And and that's no credit to the series, but it is probably the reason why the series finally blew up in the West, because you can get into it. It's not as hard as it used to be, because again, no credit to Capcom, but it is what it is. And
so they just appreciate YouTubers doing their job for them, I guess.
Sure, fucking sure, whatever. But what I'm saying is, if you get the actual game, there are extensive tutorials for how to play Monster Hunter.
Brad, my point is, if I was not on this podcast, if I was fucking just this random guy who likes video games, and I heard so much about Monster Hunter and I downloaded this demo, I would not buy this game.
Okay, I mean, sure.
I had a bad time before you and I sat down and played it. I had a bad time with this demo.
Yeah, but I mean, that's always been Monster Hunter. The best Monster Hunter experience to learn Monster Hunter is to play with someone who
knows how to play.
Already knows it. That's
why I have not.
The actual game gives you stuff. If you're an experienced Monster Hunter and you go to low-level hunts to hunt with people who are inexperienced, the game rewards experienced players. This series has always been about and it's a very Japanese culture thing, I guess, in their video game culture, where everyone is polite and wants to teach the other person how to play the fucking game. It's not fucking Call of Duty over here, where everyone wants to make sure you have the worst time possible.
That's the same in idol culture too. If you go to an idol show, everybody wants you to have a good time, and they take you under their wing.
But Nolan, what you're describing is why this series has been out since the PlayStation 2 and hasn't just now caught on.
I'm actually being serious.
No, me too. I never understood. Remember when I think I asked you when you were at Gamestop, why you always go to live shows, and you were like, "Oh, I just love the atmosphere and I love the live," and I was always like, "That's stupid." And then it wasn't until I started going to live shows in Japan that I was like, "Oh, okay, I understand why people go to live shows."
This is wildly off topic. It is a bad demo for a person who's never played a Monster Hunter game before.
To add to that, I understand that Monster Hunter World was a giant successful hit for Capcom, and I'm glad. But you know what? They could spend 30 hours of development making this demo have a good tutorial to it and probably sell 10, 20, 30,000 more copies at least. Yeah. I just don't understand why they don't put in a little effort.
Look, I'm not defending Capcom at all.
Okay.
Guys, we've been talking for 10 plus minutes about this. Can we move on?
Okay. Wait.
You could play tutorials for 10 hours when the game comes out because there's that much stuff in there. But I understand maybe why they didn't want to put that in a demo. But again, you're right. It's a demo for me, not for you. But it's also a demo for the 15 million people who played World. And let's talk about...
They're already going to buy the game, Brad.
Well, guys, we have to move on.
I'm just being a Brad because he doesn't like to give up his point when he's wrong, but he's wrong in this case. It is a bad demo for the point of the demo is to get people to buy a game.
He's agreeing with you that it's probably not a great demo.
Then let's talk about the game.
It's a great demo for showing off the new features, which are the wire bug stuff.
Yeah, the
And,
little rope
the
thingy?
monster mounting. The other reason that I think this demo is good is because I think there's a lot of people who knew about Monster Hunter World, or maybe they played Monster Hunter World, but they were somewhat worried that this new Switch one, I guess because it was back on the Switch, that it was going to be more like older Monster Hunter, which is, if you think World's impenetrable, you should. I mean, classic Monster Hunter's redonkulous, and people were worried that it was going to be more like that and less like World. But after playing the demo, it's clear that this is an evolution of the stuff they were doing in World. Like, things are different, but you can see like a natural like evolution of, like, let's say like the Clutch Claw and Iceborne. Like, the wire bug is definitely an evolution of that, and a huge improvement over it too. How you can use the wire bug for like extra mobility in battle, and like these wire bug moves, which are kind of like an evolution of all like the hunter arts from Generations and stuff, right? It's just a nice little, I mean, and this is what this series always does. It kind of tweaks and modifies and like finally hits a right note, and I feel like this game's kind of doing that. Like way back when mounting was first introduced in Monster Hunter, even in World, pre Clutch Claw, it was like really janky. You just get on the monster and like stab it a bunch for like 1 damage, and eventually like you take it down. It was just this dumb little mini game that didn't make sense. But I feel like in Monster Hunter World Iceborne, they introduced the Clutch Claw, which let you sort of latched onto the monster and you can kind of like steer it around and run it into a wall. That was sort of like the thing that you did. You did that multiple times.
Was the Clutch Claw like a weapon or like an item?
The Clutch Claw was sort of like a context sensitive wire bug. You can use it in the environment only on certain points, and you can use it to latch onto an enemy when the enemy was in. Well, I mean, with the Clutch Claw, you can latch onto an enemy kind of when you want if you time it right. But once you were on the monster, you were, like I said, you could just sort of run it into a wall. But now you actually are riding these monsters, and you can get into fights with other monsters. You could still run them into the wall, but it's sort of the new feature. It's hard to tell if it might get a little old. Like, sometimes when you're playing Monster Hunter, you just want to like get the hunt over with, right? But when you're fighting a monster, you trigger that stage and you automatically get them to that point where you can ride them. And I think most people are just going to start running them into walls and continue the hunt but it is kind of cool because they do a lot of damage, and you are doing like classic, iconic moves from the monsters, but you have control over them. It's a neat system. It's certainly flashy, but I think it's a replacement of the monsters getting into fights themselves, like they did in World all the time. That was sort of like the big feature for World, is they'd always get into fights, which
and that doesn't happen in this game.
Could be really frustrating.
No, it does.
It does maybe a little bit, but it definitely not to the extent of World. World's all about like sort of a living, breathing, like predators hunting prey, and it honestly could get a little annoying.
I mean, this is a Switch game. It just may not be that may not be a possibility.
Exactly. I think it might not be a possibility, and I think this is a pretty cool like alternative. The other thing is, but the wire bug and like the size of the maps and the navigation, these are seamless maps. Before World, like literally up to the last game before World, it was still like zones where,
oh my god, those are terrible.
You'd walk into like a load screen and get to another part of the map.
You have to chase monsters like in between zones and stuff.
Yeah. But here it's one seamless map, and you actually have more access to exploring the map than you ever did in even World, because World you couldn't climb on like any surface like you can here, which is so cool. Like the ability to kind of scale the surface and use your wire bug to get up to like secret areas and stuff. It might not make a lot of sense in this demo because you're just kind of like fighting dudes. There's no like RPG systems that you do between and after battle and all that stuff. But when you're playing Monster Hunter, like a lot of the rarer materials that you're looking for in maps, because you might need that to like finish off a piece of armor or a weapon or whatever. You might need a rare mining or a rare bug or whatever, or maybe you're just trying to collect all the wildlife. But now like there's like a really interesting exploration element because they've hidden that stuff in like less obvious areas, and I think that's a really cool. If you're just trying to kill a monster, you're probably never gonna need to explore. But the fact that like they built the levels this way is I really enjoy it. It's just and the wire bug is just a really neat way to add like extra layers of depth to like the weapons that were already there. See what I'm doing with the hammer, where I'm kind of rolling off the edge and like going aerial. But this weapon and the greatsword especially rely on ledges like this to get airborne, because their aerial strikes are kind of like their best moves, like their strongest moves, and that can come out quickly at least. And so you have the levels had to be designed in such a way to where there's kind of like ledges everywhere in every little place like a monster can go, just to accommodate for it. But now that the wire bug can let like a hammer user or a greatsword user get up in the air anytime they want, like they can design, like they don't have to do awkward ledges everywhere. They can just have it like where a bridge is, and that makes sense. But it's I just think a lot of the new additions, especially the wire bug, is such a neat thing. That, and of course the dogs, the palamute.
Dog drifting.
So much good quality of life. Again, it's a thing they introduced in Iceborne, where you could do like through a series of quests, and you probably have to do quests to unlock the palamute in this. I mean, that's one thing you don't see in the demo, is that there is a progression and there are quests you have to do to unlock certain things and features. But you were able to eventually like ride some of the wildlife in these maps, but you would literally have to, all that monster could do is you would pull up your map, you would lock onto the big monster that you're hunting, and then the little monster would automatically follow that monster, that monster's trail. You didn't actually have direct control over it. But now with the dog, you have like direct control, and he can run up vines, and he's fast. It's just like this huge quality of life improvement, where before, in some monsters, especially like this one and like Rathian, I think you can fight, they run like all the time, and it can be really frustrating in older Monster Hunter games, because you have to like fucking run to the next zone. But now it's so easy to get around with your dog and your wire bug that it's really kind of a breeze. It's just some really smart quality of life features. And again, I want to reiterate, I completely agree with you, Nolan, that it is not a demo for newcomers, but it is a good demo for non-newcomers, and it does have me really excited about playing this game when it comes out.
I do think it was, like Nolan said, it was playing it the way we played it, especially I think the other night, was great, because and like Nolan said before too, if I had just jumped into this demo ahead of time before doing it, this would have been been absolute chaos. But having 3 other people there with me, 2 of which were already really experienced with the series, and just having a chat open and Discord, like a call going, was like a perfect way to play this game for the first time.
I mean, after almost 20 years, it's a terrible series in general for just going into the game to rely on tutorials to get into the game. This has never been that, which is why it took 15 years for it to catch on in the West.
I mean, it's crazy. It is crazy too. Like, Monster Hunter World was PS4, right, and PC, and it's. I think going into it knowing that this one is coming to PC eventually, but up until recently, we were all under the impression this was only going to be on Switch. So in a lot of people's minds, this is still kind of a Switch exclusive. I think a lot of people's, mine included, perception of this game was that it was going to be in some ways a downgrade, a step down.
Yeah,
for the series,
that's my question for Brad, though.
From a technical standpoint, but
it's not. I mean, visually,
does it look
maybe, but like it runs really fast. And granted, now Monster Hunter, it's on PC and it's on PS5, and it runs at 60 frames a second. But when it first came out to like PS4, it didn't even run this smooth. It was like sub 30. It could be really janky in places, but it moves fast. It runs well for a Switch. I'm actually surprised that they were able to do these big seamless maps on the Switch version. But it's never going to look as pretty as World, and that's fine. But it's going to end up on PC. This one's going to end up on PC, I'm sure, based on leaks. And I know they're going to make another one for PS5, I'm sure, right? World 2 or whatever that game was. I mean, it was Capcom's best-selling game of all time. Of course, they're going to follow that one up. But I just want to be clear that if you love World and you have been hesitant to get into classic Monster Hunter, this is not that. This is a continuation of World, and you will enjoy yourself if you like World.
That's Portal. Have you played it all on handheld mode?
So check. So I got one of these babies on sale.
Weird.
Well, this is a Hori made like I think when Daemon X Machina came out,
right?
they released these
wing grips.
Yeah, it's basically like almost like pro controller.
It looks like a pro controller,
but it snaps onto your Switch. And this was on sale the other day, and I bought it specifically for Monster Hunter because playing Monster Hunter on chintzy little Joy-Cons is probably going to be pretty miserable, especially if you don't. Yeah, cheap, whatever. I mean, I hate Joy-Cons, but whatever. That's just me.
No, you're not alone in that.
At least get it. Well, at least get a grip or something if you're going to.
All in your big hands.
But I mean, this is most of my time is probably going to be spent playing on the PC. But again, you can't really tell from the demo. But in Monster Hunter, there's a lot of stuff to do in Monster Hunter outside of just fighting like your latest, newest, really hard monster. That you probably want to be playing on a TV. There's stuff you could do. Like if you just want to explore a map and look for farm some rare materials, Monster Hunter can be an extremely chill game to go ahead and do that. And there's lots of quests where you don't even have to fight things, where you're like stealing an egg or whatever and trying to run it back to your base. So I'm just incredibly excited to have both that TV experience when I really want to get serious or I'm playing multiplayer, or just when I'm kind of relaxing and doing whatever bullshit. The handheld's perfect for that. And that's why I was... it's why I was that's why this was my most anticipated game of the year. Because as a World fan, I think if you are a World fan, this should be. And can I just say, we should move on. But
you should move on.
The hunting horn is so cool now. The hunting horn was like tied for the lance, kind of back and forth as like the most unpopular weapon in the game. The lance because it's like super not flashy, but the hunting horn was always viewed as a support weapon because you're basically like a bard class, right? Like it's a big kind of blunt weapon like a hammer, but it doesn't do the kind of stuff that a hammer can do. You're not going to get those sort of damage numbers, at least not before. So it was always seen as a support weapon, like maybe if you're playing multiplayer. But people in Monster Hunter, they like big numbers and flashy stuff like the longsword, right, and the bow, and the hunting horn was never that. But now it finally is. Like they've completely overhauled it. It's so easy to buff your team mid combos, and they have like really cool flashy stuff that's easy to do. It's not like this high maintenance weapon, high maintenance low damage weapon. There was always like hunting horn stands, but there was a reason that it was kind of very unpopular, and I took a bad tail sweat there. I'm still getting used to the hunting horn. Some of those songs will get you locked in place for a while. But honestly, it seems too fucking powerful. I'm actually kind of surprised, but I'm excited. Unfortunately, like my favorite weapon or one of my favorite weapons is the lance, and I feel like that didn't get a lot of love in this game. The clutch claw counter was like super cool and flashy in Iceborne, but that's gone because there's no clutch claw, and I feel like the wire bug moves for the lance are kind of boring, but seemingly useful. So it is what it is.
Well, I'm sure we're going to go into more detail because a lot of us will probably be playing it when it comes out in March. I do think we should do some more co-op streams together, especially at the beginning there, to get. I would appreciate it, so at least I can get comfortable with it because, like you said, very overwhelming game for anyone who's kind of new to it. But now let's take a break. We're gonna come back. We're gonna talk about Resident Evil 8 because there was a demo. There was some news, quote unquote, about the game. I guess we'll talk about that, and we'll answer some questions from our supporters on Patreon and Twitch.
We're gonna talk about GameStop, right?
We can. You didn't put it on the dock. I've been asking you to put stuff on the dock, and it didn't happen. But yeah, we can talk about. We can talk about. Never assume, Brad. Never assume. We can talk about GameStop. I guess this is a video game podcast. Anyways, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the show. I want to spend the first chunk of this half talking about Resident Evil Village.
Right, sell me on this game, Nick, because
okay. First
there's
of all,
not much to sell anybody on yet.
No, because the selling point I keep hearing is, oh, it's going to be like Resident Evil 7, and I'm like,
That's not
Okay.
the selling people
Okay.
people are talking about. People are talking about tall vampire ladies.
Yeah, but that's whatever.
Oh my god, guys, y'all are.
What?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Nick, Nick,
Nope.
No,
I'm crashing.
Nick,
I'm crashing and burning.
Don't crash. Escape the dungeon, Nick. Escape the dungeon. So hold on. I want to ask you, Nick. You said that you
Oh
beat
my
this
God.
demo in 10 minutes.
Twice.
It's not. A
Oh, wow.
long,
I think it took me. I think it took me longer than that. I guess I just kind of explored a little more. Maybe.
I mean, the
like,
first
tried
time
to
I
find-
spent, the first time I spent like closer to 20, maybe.
Okay,
But-
20 sounds about right. Yeah. Okay.
Oh my god.
Set us
Guys.
up.
Well, so
I
well,
can't.
hold on.
Somebody else talk. I'm losing my shit tonight.
Hold on. I'll go. While Nick's kind of recovering and coming down off his chocolate brownie high, I did enjoy this demo. I thought it was pretty unique. It definitely gave me 7 vibes, kind of with that spooky element. But I also got a little bit of 4 in there as well. I think
definitely
it's
a continuation of 7. I mean, it's clear.
it definitely is.
You're playing as Ethan.
But there's nothing wrong with that. I think everyone here, to an extent, enjoyed 7. I think it is interesting the way they are approaching this game, maybe a little bit, with the whole, like, clearly, I think even where if you're watching the footage, right there is kind of where I noticed that, like, honestly, if there were vampires in this game before this demo, I was not aware that there were. I had only knew about the werewolves, not the vampires. But then as soon as I found, like, medicine for the livestock, I was like, are there gonna be fucking vampires in because I didn't know anything going into the demo.
Classic vampires and werewolves, which
Yeah.
is exciting. It's exciting.
Yeah, it's exciting because it's new. It's
I
different
haven't
from
seen
from
anything
Resident
about
Evil.
this. So when you say medicine for the livestock, I have no clue what you're talking about.
So this demo, there's no lead up. It just starts. You're in a dungeon. You don't know what's going on. You find some bodies, hanging in blood, which is whatever for Resident Evil. But then, like I said, I found a note that was like, make sure we're stocked up on medicine for the livestock. And as soon as I read that, I knew that livestock was referring to people, not to actual animals. And that there's probably some vampire shit going on, which honestly excites me. Nick, does that excite you? Fucking vampires in Resident Evil?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Are you excited by tall vampire lady with claws?
I am. I mean, to be honest, I'm infinitely more interested in the things surrounding the vampires and werewolves things is cool, I guess. But the thing is, and this is kind of what I wanted to talk about in terms of like the showcase, because one, the showcase didn't do anything for me, like, at all. And in fact, keeping in mind, I'm a pretty big Resident Evil fan, and Resident Evil 7 was one of my favorite games of the generation. I'm not saying that I'm not excited for Resident Evil 8 or Village, because this is still my most anticipated game of the year. The problem was
when you say the showcase, you're specifically referring to the footage that they showed?
More of the way they showed it. I would have much preferred just like, here's a 20-minute vertical slice of the game, let's watch. Instead, they were talking about things and jumping around. They didn't show like one consistent piece of like gameplay for longer than like 15 seconds, maybe.
Sure.
And then before they were off to showing the next thing, and I didn't come out the other side of that showcase knowing really anything new about the game I didn't already know, except that you can block now, I guess.
Which is such a silly thing to.
I know. I was going into this fully expecting them to talk more about what makes this game special or different, because obviously they dropped. It's not really being referred to commonly internally as Resident Evil 8. It's being referred to as Resident Evil Village, which makes me think the Village is obviously going to be a major component of this game somehow. And there's other little things, like if you go as part of this showcase, they did show off the new collector's editions of this game, and one of the things that comes with the big edition is a map, right? And if you look at the picture and you look at the map makes it look like this might be in some shape or form open, because it's showing the major locations of the game and where they are in relation to each other.
Maybe,
not
but I feel like you could draw up a map like that for Resident Evil 4. Or
sure,
whatever.
but the thing is the kind of the concept of this game and the little bits and pieces they've shown seem to imply this is not probably going to be structured like your average Resident Evil game. It seems like it's probably going to have something that's maybe a little special or new about it in terms of the way its world is designed. And that's what I want to know about.
If you think about Resident Evil 7, though, I mean, that was a compound where everything was connected. It was linear the way you had to progress through it in like the grand scheme, but like the first
you were often
half of that game,
yeah,
exactly. The first half of that game was connected. So
I know.
I have a feeling this might be kind of like that, but a little more spread out.
Hold on, Nick. To ask your kind of question about it being open, is that something you like or don't like?
I mean, that's what I mean. I want it to be more. I want the fact that this is called Village to be. I want that name to mean something. I want this to be drawn from the fact that like the village is the the centerpiece of the game. Like it is a fully explorable environment. That's what I want.
So like as
open
opposed
world, but like if the whole game was, or if the whole village was built kind of like that small village at the beginning of Resident Evil 4, like oh my god.
So hold on. So that's what I wanted to comment on. Is if you look back at Resident Evil 4, and the only reason it's fresh-ish in my mind is because, about a year ago, we all played through it together. But if you look at that village, while it is unique and memorable, each of those houses had, like, nothing in them. There was, like, a single cupboard you could interact with. And I'm hoping that it is like that in the sense that it is a village, but each of the houses is more akin to maybe a smaller version of the house from Resident Evil 7. Where maybe there's multiple rooms, obviously multiple floors, but actually things you can interact with, maybe a secret tunnel to some basement or something where shit's going on. I think you could easily...
Yeah, if we're honest, like the village from Resident Evil 4 was a combat set piece that lasts 10 minutes. And you come back to it once and you never go back to it again. It was an interesting encounter in Resident Evil 4, but there wasn't any depth to the village setting.
Just think about this, though. Resident Evil, historically speaking, has very rarely drifted away from the numbered naming structure. When they do, it usually signifies something. Resident Evil 3 Nemesis was called Nemesis because Nemesis was a huge part of what made that game unique.
What the hell is a Code Veronica?
That's a good point. I kind of forgot about Code Veronica. That's kind of a weird.
Veronica's because there's a brother and a sister, and they're twins, and then you basically play each map twice. Once as Claire and once as...
That definitely means Code Veronica. But Nick, the VILL, the L's are lowercase, so it makes it 8. So this is definitely Resident Evil 8.
Nobody at Capcom is calling this Resident Evil 8. Like yes, it is Resident Evil 8, but like you will never hear a marketing from Capcom refer to this game as Resident Evil 8.
They refer to it as Biohazard 8.
They are leaning into this. They are leaning into this village thing pretty heavily, and I was hoping to get something to find out more about that at this showcase. Instead, we just got this like really terrible presentation with this hodgepodge of like jumping around.
Can I say something?
They barely even showed combat.
Okay, that's what I want to talk about. They did show a little bit of combat, and it looked like shit. Can I be frank? It looked bad. It looked bad. It looked like
there's no combat in the demo. That's what I'm.
No, there's no combat in the demo. Not even blocking.
Was it really awesome in on the PS5? Did it run real smooth and make you feel validated on your?
I mean, let's be real clear here though. Is that this is one of 2 demos. This one is for a visual and audio like show off of their game. There is another demo that's coming that will have combat that's going to be going to other platforms. Right. This was something Sony just invested in Capcom to say, "Hey, we want something exclusive."
This is the kitchen of Resident Evil 8.
Yes.
Wait, yeah. Oh, the kitchen. But the Resident Evil 7 demo that came out later that was more extensive this is not that.
No, right.
You know what I'm talking about? The one where you found the cassette tape and all that shit.
When you finish this demo, it specifically says, "Thanks for playing our visual showcase." It's literally just a walk through this like really pretty quote unquote.
It was pretty.
I mean, it's gorgeous, but it's gross.
It looked nice, but it kind of felt like crap at first. You need to go into the settings, turn off acceleration, and then turn up the sensitivity. It feels a lot better that way.
I didn't do that.
It felt kind of like a first-person indie horror game at first.
But what Brad was talking about is, and nothing wrong with that. But seriously, what Brad was talking about is true. Like they showed combat for like 5 seconds, and it did not look good.
It looked good. And it's frustrating because I assumed that, there's been a couple of Resident Evil games since Resident Evil 7, and I wasn't like a huge fan of the combat in 7. This looked almost exactly like the combat in 7 to me, and
I agree.
I'm really not sure why they're going this route with this game, because it was first person for a reason. I don't think they're doing VR with this game, so it's like, why are they still?
Well, they said because you can appreciate the details.
It's a dumb. I
don't know. I mean, maybe they will do VR down the line.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Or
I mean,
maybe
Nick, I would say that I played the entirety of Resident Evil 7 outside of VR, and I had a great experience.
Yeah.
So
I don't doubt. I think this will come together. I think the combat will be fine. In fact, it'll probably be pretty darn good. I mean, Resident Evil has rarely had bad combat, I feel, especially in a post Resident Evil 4 world. Resident Evil 6 sucked, but the combat wasn't bad.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't as good as 4 and 5. It wasn't as good as 4 and 5.
What?
Oh wait. David's a 6 stan. We can't talk about 6.
Roll around. Why are you calling people stands, dude? What the hell, dude?
That's
you're not 18.
We're all on the internet, and this is how internet people talk. Also, I mean, come on, that Eminem video was from our time, and that song.
What?
The young people might be using it, but he invented Stan.
It's true.
Oh, really? This is Stan?
Yeah.
That's how they came up with the name Stan?
Yes, that's what
we're losing
I
people.
have no clue.
No, we're not. They know what we're talking about because they're young, I guess. Well, but the thing is, Resident Evil 4 and 5 felt really good. Like the feedback. Remember that little clip where I punch a dude through the fucking door and it's just like.
Yes, you will never let us forget that.
It feels so good to do stuff in those games, like kneecap a dude and run up and do a super kick or a super punch.
Do the suplex on him.
Yeah, man, all that stuff felt so good. And the feedback is what I think made that game like such a thing back then.
The over the topness in that regard on 4 was that was definitely one of the things that made it unique and made it fun. Yes.
And I just feel like they kind of threw. I don't know if it was when they created this engine or whatever, but they kind of threw that out the window. And I thought that, 7 whatever was the first game with the new engine. Stuff was getting better in terms of game feel with Resident Evil 2 remake and 3 remake. That it was disappointing to me to see it kind of go back to this like little floaty, no feedback. He was shooting these things, and it seemed like they were barely reacting to them.
Right.
The je ne sais quoi of Resident Evil 4 was shooting someone's hand and having them dropping dynamite and blowing up a whole pack of zombies. I want that kind of stuff again.
Okay, well, here's the thing, and I love Resident Evil 7, but I love Resident Evil 7 specifically because it is kind of a
return to form. Say it. For atmosphere.
No, I don't want to say return to form. I want to say it's almost kind of like a rejection of everything that was 4, 5, and 6.
Yeah, sure.
And I don't mean that sounds like I'm shit talking 4, 5, and 6. Well, 4 and 5, but I'm not. But that's what the first person perspective kind of worked for it, because it was a slower pace. It was more emphasis on exploration, and combat scenarios were actually very rare. It looks like it's taking a lot of inspiration from Resident Evil 4, and it's like this looks like a love child between 4 and 7. And the thing I'm concerned about is that if it's largely borrowing the combat from 7, I don't think that was built for the fast-paced, frenetic action of 4.
Yeah, you say that, but what about wasn't the Chris Redfield DLC a lot of action and stuff?
No, I mean not really. I mean it was certainly more so than the game, but than the main game. But I still wouldn't put it on the same level as 4 and 5.
It definitely wasn't as fun, that's for sure.
Did anyone here play the End of Zoe DLC?
Yeah, I played it.
Okay. Is that
where you're throwing spears at gators? Yeah.
Oh, really? I didn't play it, so.
Yeah. Yeah, it's cool.
Really,
it's
you're
cool
the biggest Zoe stan here.
Yeah. I mean, I'm excited alone for Resident Evil 8 for the fact that Chris like shoots 6 fucking rounds in his wife's head.
This is that's weird, Chris Davis. This is
fuck whatever her name is.
I can't believe you, Chris Davis. You're still after all these years, you're still not gonna back down from your original stand.
He will never admit how wrong he is.
I am
the game. The game made your choice non-canon.
Did y'all see the promo art?
And then Chris Redfield pops up in the very first trailer and says, "Fuck you" to that canon answer.
Did y'all see the promo art for Ethan?
No.
Is like the official promo art. They like cleverly hide his face. Like they very specifically never want to show this guy's face. So even in official art, he's got like a knife in front of his face or a gun, or it's kind of like shadowed out. Like they think it's like a cool thing probably that they're not showing his face, which is I guess kind of hilarious. But also Ethan is still sort of a nothing character. I guess he's supposed to be us or the player. Maybe it would be more interesting if Capcom was trying to do some sort of like, meta commentary with that, but I don't think they are. It's just a Resident Evil game.
Certainly don't think
how do you feel about the vampires being made of bugs? That was a little disappointing to me. I thought they were like maybe because they're trying to tie too much to Seven.
Everything y'all say is completely what the hell you do.
So the vampire, I guess, are going to be like the Mr. X's or whatever, where they kind of follow you around, or at least there was in the sequence in the demo.
Through an open village?
But
imagine how cool that would be.
Sure, maybe. I don't know. That's what I want to talk about.
I want to be like,
I
want to be like ducking into back alleys trying to get away from these bitches.
Sure, but the problem is, I don't think it wasn't fun to get away from these bitches, as you say, in this demo. She was made of bugs, and you just kept getting swarmed by bugs, and it didn't feel fun to like get away from her, interact with her. I wish she wasn't made of bugs. I think that was a lore reason, because they're supposed to be related to the people from 7 or something. So it's like, they got to be bugs, and it's like.
Would you prefer she's made of chipmunks? Like
maybe they're
fucking
vampires.
sludge monsters is the thing about 7.
Turn into a fucking bat, man, or multiple bats or whatever, right? But bugs is
getting more like everything y'all say about this game is not making me interested in this game.
Well, we're not here to make you interested, David, but you're probably going to play it anyways. The thing is, vampires are like, they're like sleek and sexy and high class, right? I don't feel like turning into bugs is very vampire-like.
But here's the thing, Brad, is that the entire Resident Evil...
I'm pretty sure mosquitoes suck blood.
The entire...
Okay, they're not mosquitoes.
What's up,
Chris Davis, go.
The entire thing about the fucking Resident Evil franchise is that it's about a biohazard. It's about a virus. There is nothing supernatural about the Resident Evil franchise. They tried to do that once with a version of 4, and that never came out. They never made anything.
All right, slow your roll. What's
Chris's argument? Chris's argument is what? It's not
supernatural.
It needs to stay viral.
I'm not
turning into bugs is more.
Do you think maybe? Hold on. Do you think maybe they're trying to avoid a virus right now?
Chris Davis. Your argument.
Like, what do you want me to say?
Biohazard, dude.
At the end of the day, it's all 18,000 of these games are all about a fucking virus infecting people and turning them into zombies and shit.
Chris Davis, I hate to burst your bubble, Chris Davis, but there's no such thing as a virus that makes you turn into bugs. That's supernatural.
Yes.
There's also no such thing as a virus that turns you into like a backflipping Tyrannosaurus Rex, but that happens in 6.
Oh my god!
This is why you should not be using Resident Evil lore to make any sort of argument about justifying anything in this series.
I'm just saying.
All I'm saying is
they're not vampires.
It didn't. Being punched by Mr. X felt very physical. Dodge that punch or you're gonna die, right? But I was just being swarmed by bugs, and it felt like jelly vision. I didn't know if I was even getting away, and I actually died a few times playing through the demo. Did you die?
Die?
Yes, I died a couple of times, and the checkpointing was pretty bad because, like, look what's happening now. I didn't know if I was getting attacked or if this was supposed to happen.
I literally just
because it's all cinematic looking.
I don't know. I was slowing down, and I was trying to get away, and bugs were swarming me.
You know why they picked?
Is there
you know why they picked bugs, right?
Why is that?
They picked bugs so they could do some cool particle effects on new hardware.
They picked bugs because these are literally this chick is like the sister of the dude of the family from Resident Evil 7, some shit like that.
Okay, so
all right, we need to move on.
Sell me on Resident Evil 7 because I've never played.
No,
I've never been through 7.
It is a fine first-person horror game.
Yeah,
fine.
We're not gonna sell you on 7, but look at
I
reviews.
can't motivate myself to play that game.
I'm sitting right here, guys.
No, I'm not. That's what I'm asking. I saw an idol play that, and she was like fighting some spider. But
I was not expecting that.
Why? She was.
You weren't expecting that?
I mean, I guess I was. I don't know why.
Yeah, a lot of idols. There was one idol who's playing Revelations 2.
That's a pretty good game.
Yeah, I like Revelations 2.
But
yeah, she was playing like 7, and she was like fighting some sort of spider boss where like she kept getting bit, and the hand kept like slapping spiders off her arm, and then she like pulled out. She had to pull out like a flame torch to like flame like cobwebs or something. And I was like, what the fuck is going on in this game?
David, just play it in VR.
Oh, I can't. Oh, I can't, dude. I can't. I couldn't.
No.
How long is that game?
About 15 hours, 16 hours.
I think that's a little bit generous.
I don't think I can do 15 in VR, because VR I get sweaty, dude.
Yeah.
I get sweaty. My eyes are like one of my eyes is bad, so I always have like blurry vision in them, and get headaches.
It's not for everybody.
You know, I didn't say you had to do it all at once.
You know what you could also do, David, is play it not in VR, which is what me and Brad and Chris Davis did, and we all had great times.
Yeah.
I could play it on
yeah,
Xbox
and y'all all said it was fine. I played it in VR, and I said it was
okay.
Do you guys consider that game scary?
You also said Singularity.
It's got some scary moments.
Fuck yourself.
Is it scary? Like I can't handle the suspense. Like
yeah, you don't think you're gonna like 7? How do you feel about Mr. X?
Oh, I hate Mr. X.
Well, there's like a Mr. X type character in this.
In 7?
Yeah.
Oh my god, dude. Okay, never mind. I'm playing.
Wait, are you saying you hate Mr. X because he scares you?
No, I hate Mr. X because it's annoying. It's just this annoying, like game hulking guy walking around.
Okay,
and I just ended up sitting there walking around a table, and he's just following me around the table.
Okay, David.
And I just buy time until I like run around and.
David, let me pitch it to you this way.
Tonight.
And there's certain doors that you can go in that he won't follow you, so you just go there and he resets.
You mean your bug pressure?
I can do when I can see. I can see the Matrix code when I play. Like because of Mr. X, I see the Matrix code in that game.
David,
basically, yeah.
Did you see the film?
Playthroughs.
Did you see the film The Hills Have Eyes?
No.
Okay. Just think,
creepy. Was like, all right, never mind then.
You're trapped in a house with a creepy family in the middle of a swamp. That's this video game. Go.
I don't know. I just want the action. Like, I love the scary part of like Evil Within 2. Love that. I love the first half of like Resident Evil 2 remake. Those kind of scary parts like that. And then later on, it picks up and you just start blasting people away and stuff.
David, Resident Evil 7 is not Evil Within 2. It is a very slow-paced horror game with very little combat. Yeah, first there's more in the back half of the game, I suppose. But for the most part, you're sneaking around this house trying to avoid this family. There's not a ton of combat in it in the first half.
And then when you get caught, they just like they axe you, and then it says game over.
Yeah,
I guess.
I mean,
David,
not exactly.
David, do you like escape rooms?
I've never been to an escape room.
Well, there's one in this game. It's pretty good.
We did
it's
that.
Actually,
Resident Evil escape room. Really
cool set pieces in that game. All right, we need to move on.
I mean,
I'm still excited.
We don't have to move on because we have to talk about the rest of the news about this.
Oh, I don't want to talk about this shit.
Okay, fine.
I was so convinced.
The thing no one ever wants. They keep.
I have no idea what y'all are talking about.
A multiplayer Resident Evil game.
Oh, really? Oh, cool.
No, not cool. Not cool.
Resistance, right, or something like that.
No,
like
Resistance looks good compared to this.
How much Resident Evil 3? Resident Evil 3 was Resistance, right?
By the way,
Resident
I'm
Evil 3
giving serious thought to not releasing this podcast. Guys, y'all.
But I talked about Monster Hunter.
How can we not talk about Reverse and just how
Reverse.
garbage it looks?
I'm pretty sure Nick's just talking about the fact that everyone keeps talking over each other, just like what just happened.
It is.
I think it's worth bringing up though, just to shit on it. Resident Evil Reverse. They're making a multiplayer deathmatch game with Resident Evil, which they've done before, and no one's ever liked it. I don't know who they're making it for, why they keep making it.
And this was like the thing that was supposed to be celebrating the 25th anniversary or something, right?
Let me tell you this: the way these companies celebrate anniversaries is they look what's going to fall on the anniversary and do their best to try to spin that into being the anniversary thing. That's how we ended up with Tomb Raider's 20th anniversary edition, which was a year late port of the Rise of the Tomb Raider. We're celebrating it, man. Yeah, that's just how it is, and that's why this is the anniversary thing. But I think 7 looks cool. I mean, 8 looks cool, and let's move on.
Do any of you guys play Umbrella Corps?
No.
I bought that. I haven't played it yet. You guys, I was just trying to see if maybe I'm going to get
It's hot garbage.
How do you know? You never played it.
I have seen plenty of footage.
Not playing it and seeing it is different.
To Capcom, I say just stop it. Just stop it with the multiplayer Resident Evil stuff. Just
Can I
stop
say
it.
this,
It's
Nick?
not gonna happen.
Are you gonna buy that statue?
It's a statue of the vampire lady.
Here's the thing: I was so close to doing it. So close to do. Well, here's the thing: because GameStop, if that was not exclusive to GameStop again, I might have done it. I'm getting really nervous about the prospect of throwing down money at GameStop.
Speaking of which,
absolutely. Are you still a pro member there? Like you do the $5 coupon thing?
I don't think
that GameStop's
anymore.
completely changed their business model, right?
I know.
Like,
yeah.
They don't get you don't get 10% off used games anymore. You get a $5 coupon every month.
That's because they're bleeding money, and they.
Speaking of GameStop's business model, they're doing great.
They are on paper.
They're doing great. I don't even know.
You know they don't even put all their used games out anymore.
Not surprising.
Brad is desperately trying to transition to the new topic, and David's just not letting it happen.
With that.
Oh, I thought it was topical. Did you know, Brad? Or if you knew already, did you say, yes, I already knew?
I haven't been into GameStop in a while, but last time I went, it was like half the store was just toys and stuff.
Right. But now they don't even put all their used games out. You used to, they would put a 1K display case for every game that they have. They don't even do that anymore. They have the top 200 games, and they put all the cases out, regardless of whether they have them or not.
Oh God!
So you can't even go in and just walk around and look at the games and be like, "Oh, you have a copy of Shadow Hearts? I guess I'll pick this up." You can't even do that. You go in, it's the same 200 games from store to store.
Here's the trick to that, David. You just don't go into GameStop.
You don't have it in stock. Oh, that's what they're causing me to do, is that I don't go in there anymore. Because every time I go in, I'm like, I want to look around. Oh, never mind. There's nothing to look around. See you later. Because they're like, well, if you want anything, you just ask me and I'll look it up for you.
Okay, it's funny we're talking so much about GameStop when it's so unrelated to the ridiculous news that's happening right now. Mm-hmm. GameStop is trading very high right now, I think. There's some funky business going on with the stock market right now. I guess some people would say Redditors are trying to stick it to, what's it called?
The man. Wall Street?
Yeah, stick it hedge fund managers and stuff like, Wall Street, right? And it seems to be working, right?
Yeah, it seems to be working.
But and honestly, things are it's probably going to have some lasting effects on how all that shitty business works. But I guess my question is, GameStop kind of is not even relevant to the actual what's actually going on, but they're definitely caught up in this. And my question for you is, maybe
GameStop is irrelevant. It is GME. It is GameStop's stock that just happens to be the thing that is a reason. But the thing is, it's not just GameStop. It is also AMC, and it is Nokia, and it is BlackBerry. There are other stocks. It's just GameStop was the first one.
It's so funny the way they choose some of these too. But
it's not funny. It's very obvious why they chose all of those. Those 4 companies I named are companies that aren't doing great.
Yeah, I know.
Which is the reason they're being targeted, is because these hedge funds have been shorting those stocks because they're doing poorly. But when you short a stock and it does good, you get fucked, which is exactly what Reddit is trying to do. They are trying
it's reverse stock marketing, right? Because usually you want to buy low and then it goes
correct.
Right. So instead of wanting it to raise up higher, you want it to go down lower.
Exactly.
Yes.
And all 4 of those companies are not doing great, so it makes sense to short the stock. But then when Reddit sees all of these hedge funds shorting, millions and billions of dollars of these stock, and I think it got to the point where I think they had shorted 140% of the GameStop stock that existed. That's when they really started to say, all right, let's try and fuck over these guys. And they did a good job of fucking them over.
But the question is, does any of this have any effect on GameStop as a company? Are they even gonna come out of this in worse shape than they were?
I think they're gonna come out in the end the exact same way they started in reality.
Yeah. Because here's the thing is that a new board has taken over at GameStop in the past 2 weeks or something like that. And
is Reggie still there?
I don't think so.
I don't know.
If he's not, he was. It was very quiet when he left. Yeah,
he was there for a while. Yes,
he joined the board of directors.
But either way, 2 weeks isn't enough time for them to steer the ship really that far. So, I mean, the future of GameStop is still up in the air.
Yeah, I don't think this is going to affect the company at all.
I feel like the future of GameStop is inevitable. It's just it's just a matter of when.
Yes, which is why.
But isn't betting against it like these hedge funds were trying to do? Can't that have some lasting effects on an actual company?
To an extent, yes. But I mean, it's one of those things where. What's up, Nick?
I'm just saying I don't know enough about.
Yeah, I guess
the stock market.
Well, so none of us here are stock market experts, but I mean, in the long run, I honestly, like I said, I don't think a week ago GameStop stock was at $4 a share. The fact that it's at $200 a share today doesn't really mean anything because it's all the stock market is all a bunch of fucking bullshit, and it's just been inflated by the appearance of it being worth something. And in my opinion, I think it's going to go back in a couple of weeks. I don't know. Maybe Redditors and people on the internet will keep fucking with it for a while, but I think at the end of the day, it's just
they'll lose interest in.
Yeah, well, I don't think they're going to lose interest so much as I think it's just eventually enough people are going to either they're going to move on to another stock. I mean, I guess lose interest is fine, but I think at the end of the day, GameStop as a company is not going to come out ahead because of this.
They're not going to all of a sudden, their business model is going to be profitable now.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, they're still going to be a company that's losing money.
Nick, do you want to hear a piece of trivia?
I guess.
I'm leaving this up to you. You can decide whether you want to hear this or not.
I don't know. Okay.
Yeah, is that a yes?
Yes, sure.
There was once a guy on the internet who made an idle stock trader, and he had all the members of AKB listed out as stocks, and you could actually buy stocks and sell stocks and calculate their trajectories depending on how people were going to buy it.
That's disturbing.
Money, but it wasn't with real money.
I think people do that with Hollywood actors and stuff too. So
a lot of the fans got into that for a while.
Interesting.
That's weird.
Cool. You chose that, Nick. You could have denied that comment, and you accepted it into your heart.
Don't worry, Nick can add this out in the final version.
I don't do that.
The editing. Fuck that.
Yeah. That does not happen. All right. Is there anything else newsworthy we want to? I mean, we talked about all the Resident Evil stuff. We did the.
I mean, there was one other.
Thing. Fucking Blizzard swallowed up.
Vicarious Visions.
Vicarious Visions,
which is kind of disappointing. So they had very successfully and lovingly remade Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2, which everyone was like, "Oh yeah, man, fucking Tony Hawk is good again and cool," and everyone was just feeling really good. And who knows what they were gonna do? Maybe remake 3 and 4, or maybe do a new Tony Hawk that's finally good again. I don't know, but people were all around pretty stoked, right? Well, they got swallowed up in the Activision, thing, Blizzard specifically, but they're now all part of Blizzard, and I think there's rumors are suggesting that they're working on that Diablo 2 remake, which maybe that's a good thing, right? Maybe that suggests that's going to be more of a remake or of a serious effort than that garbage they did with Warcraft 3 last year or whatever. So
also, they're kind of pitching this as a net positive for them, because the creative director at Vicarious is now the EVP over at Blizzard.
I don't know, but Activision has had a history of having these like really talented teams
and just
that just get absorbed into like, oh, now that cool thing we did before, now you're doing Call of Duty map packs because that's what we want you to do. You know,
this shit
happened to Neversoft back in the day. That's
why we never got a sequel to Singularity, and I'm still mad about it.
Yeah,
Singularity, Nick.
I didn't mean to actually.
I'll go play that
derail
game.
It. You should. It's fantastic.
Nick, did you ever play Quantum Theory?
Yeah. You mean Quantum Break?
No.
Wait, you mean Quantum Break?
No, he's talking about Quantum Theory, the PS3 era Tecmo shooter. Gears of War clone.
Look, I have Singularity.
Didn't play that.
You know how quickly you said Singularity, and I knew exactly where Singularity was on my like.
It's fascinating.
Stack of games.
It's because you're a fucking monster.
It's right under Fracture.
Like
where it belongs. Where it belongs.
You know,
all right.
You might be interested to know, Nick, that
prototype.
the new COD Black Ops Cold War, Raven was actually the lead developer on it. So they made that whole single player campaign. So technically, that's their first lead project in like 10 years.
Since Singularity.
And you know what? It's a pretty decent campaign. You might want to play it.
I'm sure it is. I do like Raven. All right. Nolan, you want to read us some questions from our supporters on Patreon and Twitter?
Mm-hmm.
Would appreciate.
Okay. Cool. Don't know why that was fun. All right, let's go with an old one.
Let's do it.
An oldie but a goodie.
Yeah.
Let's not make any promises.
This one is from November of 2020. Shrill Nil.
Who you voting for?
Okay.
From Georgia. What are some of the most memorable conversations you guys have shared on the podcast? Can be about gaming or just one of the many tangents you guys have explored. The zip whip pee conversation, the double ply versus single ply debate, the wipe standing up versus sitting down dilemma, just to name a few.
I got this.
You guys really talk about shitting a lot.
I think my favorite one was would you rather eat poof every day for the rest of your life or only have one leg?
That was actually a question.
It probably was.
It was something like that. Was one? Yes.
No. My absolute favorite was the one when Brad was discussing mixing socks.
Oh,
that was a good one.
Yeah, sorry. That was a horrible, inappropriate joke that came out of that, but it was great.
That was a bad joke, not a conversation, Chris Davis. Please contribute.
Did you guys have the wiping forward or wiping back?
Yeah.
I don't think that exact conversation has ever come up.
No.
We
can have it right now if y'all want.
We've talked about plies of toilet paper, and we've talked about wiping standing up or sitting down, but never direction.
Okay, let's answer this question, and none of the conversations were anything related to this at all. No.
I'm more of like a circular motion.
It will take like 10 seconds. Front to back.
No, it won't. Right? No, it will not.
It won't.
I'm sure we've talked about it. No one wants shitty balls. Listen. Answer the fucking question.
Oh, hold on. Brett, if you were wiping back to front, would you go all the way to your balls?
Jesus.
Well, what happens if you're a woman?
Well, you don't have balls, so they don't get shitty.
Guys, I don't think you want to be pushing that.
Okay, correct. Yes.
4Player podcast.
Move on from that one
for adults.
Bernadette has interjected. Says for women, there's really only one correct direction.
Brad, if I buy you a bidet, will you try it out?
Okay,
what?
We still have not answered this question. We still
guys.
This is not my favorite conversation.
There has got to be a conversation we can think of that was joyful, that we loved, that had nothing to do with bodily functions. There's got to be. We've been 668 episodes. We talk about so many video games.
Yeah.
There's got to be.
I'm going to say it's probably one of the conversations I had with Nick about Assassin's Creed.
That's a lie. Let's see. We've talked about how to fuck a house. Wait, no, that doesn't count. We've talked about getting tattoos on our penis. Nope, that didn't count. We've talked about there was that one from Cocktail Time where we talked about German goo girls. Nope, wait, that doesn't count. Do we ever not talk about like body parts?
Ah, shit. Oh, I mean,
Can I
don't
use
know.
this?
I mean, I still to this day crack up to the point of tears every time I watch the podcast where we were talking about Mass Effect, and Brad was using the thing that makes him look like a cloud
filter. Yeah,
that's
Yeah.
still against the spirit of the question. Good quality conversation.
Bernadette brings up a good point. The Tool Time one, where we're all making the Tim the Tool Man grunt sound. Just like Baby Yoda or whatever. Like
I think Brad
that wasn't
was
a conversation either, but I mean,
Brad's like, what's the best video game conversation we've ever had?
No, well, I mean, I should use this answer to this question to tell people to send more interesting video game questions into our podcast, because that would probably lead to more interesting conversations, I guess.
Hey, here's the thing: we have a lot of really fantastic conversations in this podcast. We wouldn't have been doing it for so long if we don't. The problem is the memorable ones are the ones that are crazy and out there. And
The problem is that toilet humor is very funny.
No.
that is
To some extent. If we had like one good question and then one shitty question every podcast, that would be great.
What if that became our shtick from going forward, where it's like we intentionally pick one really good question and one really bad question, and every week people are trying to like, I'm gonna get the good question or I'm gonna get the bad question, and then it became like competition among the community. Maybe we get more really good questions that way.
No, we wouldn't.
All right, fine. Moving on.
Not
Nick,
to toot my own horn, but Brad and I had a pretty good conversation about Twilight Princess a long time ago.
That's true. That's true. It was all downhill from there.
That was literally episode 1.
Nick, did you highlight some of these, or is this something that automatically happens? Or
No, I highlighted some of them, but you tend to be pretty good at picking them. So
no, I wasn't sure. Okay, well, yeah, no, I'll do the next highlighted one from Negative Cosine, which was from December 14th. The most popular JRPG currently is a Yakuza game, and Final Fantasy is turning into a character action game. I guess, especially with how 16 looks.
Okay.
Is there any future for traditional JRPGs?
Of course.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, define future. I mean, Pokemon is still fairly traditional, right? You know, Dragon Quest is still fairly traditional. Those are somewhat successful franchises, at least in certain regions.
Like
No,
if you're not thinking
and
about
Persona's still pretty traditional. I mean,
But those are such massive properties. I don't like.
I think there's a lot
something
of
else carrying
indie
those.
games too. I think there's a lot of indie games that are really trying to bring back the traditional JRPG style, and a lot of them are fairly successful.
yeah, for sure.
fairly successful though.
I think in general, the JRPG or otherwise, I think you see a lot of classic style of games live on and thrive in the indie space, for sure.
I mean, if you're not looking at $100+ million budgets for games, then yeah, anything under that, there's plenty of room for RPGs, traditional RPGs.
I think maybe one of the undertones of this question that maybe is not being asked is there a future for traditional JRPGs in like AAA game development? And the answer to that question, I think, is probably not. I don't know.
What's the last
Pokemon,
JRPG?
Persona,
What's the last JRPG y'all actually beat? This is like 40-hour plus.
Yakuza.
Okay,
the last
Yakuza 7.
traditional JRPG I beat. When he says traditional, is he kind of underhandedly referring to like turn-based combat?
Yeah, you hit a button and it says attack or magic or item.
I don't think it has to be turn-based combat, but
Final
It
Fantasy
doesn't necessarily have to be.
Final Fantasy 13.
What?
Maybe I mean that.
13?
I mean
that was
seven. Seven, you don't count it, right?
no. I mean I count it as a
7 remake. Sorry.
I count it as a JRPG, but not a traditional JRPG, because when I think traditional, I think of like classic turn-based combat, like ATB gauge, back and forth, just like Final Fantasy 8, 9, and.
Do you consider Pokemon like a JRPG? Really? I feel like there's all this other.
I think
stuff
Pokemon is like
the.
I think Pokemon is like the one holdout from like traditional JRPG.
I think there's so much other stuff involved with that game, though.
Sure, but it's still like, walking around, getting into turn-based combat fights, right?
And trading items with your friends.
Yeah, I mean, you still go buy stuff from a shop or.
Which is ironically the reason I don't play those games anymore.
But I mean, here's the other thing. And I know I see people in chat kind of like jumping at like, well, if this is a JRPG, why isn't Final Fantasy VII Remake? Blah blah blah. And it's like the term or the concept of traditional JRPG has just become blurred.
Yeah,
like,
that's true.
Like there's really no point in like there is a future for JRPGs, but the term traditional has kind of lost all of its meaning.
It's hard to answer this question without defining that. I don't think we need to do that here, but I will tell you another Dragon Quest game is going to come out eventually, and that is still
going to be
series,
traditional. Maybe that's the last traditional one I played. I played Dragon
11?
Quest 11, yeah, and that was pretty. I didn't finish it, but I did play.
Dude, I started that game. I'm on the cusp of starting it for the third time.
It's a pretty good game.
It's called. Brad, you've never watched a Monster Hunter anime, right?
No, I have not.
Okay, I'm gonna go watch that instead of play the game.
Sounds good. Let's move on to the next question from the Drunken Merchant. This is one of the more recent ones. It was actually asked 2 days ago. What is a game that you desperately want to replay whenever you see gameplay and or a picture of it? For example, whenever I'm scrolling through YouTube videos and I see thumbnails of Red Dead Redemption 2 or Final Fantasy 9, I think, holy shit, I want to replay that game right now. But unfortunately, I don't have the time to do so.
It said you don't have time to do so.
That's what he says. But the real question is, which games make you want to replay them the moment you see them? And he mentioned both Red Dead Redemption 2 and Final Fantasy 9. Those are like my two go-to answers. The difference is I actually recently replayed Final Fantasy 9 because of that exact reason. And I'm replaying Red Dead Redemption 2 as we speak, although that's kind of a long-term project. The Last of Us 2, I started playing a new game of that recently. And I feel like that's kind of the same thing. Whenever I see screenshots of it, I get the urge to play it.
For me, Splinter Cell Chaos Theory, any day, anytime.
That's a good one. That's every time I see like on Twitter, I see like new videos of people doing like crazy, over the top, ridiculous shit in Breath of the Wild. It makes me want to play Breath of the Wild again, only to realize I'll never be able to do any of that stuff.
When I see Monster Hunter, I always want to play some Monster Hunter. Or like, I don't know.
Ooh, I got a good one.
Play the Spire.
Hollow Knight, man.
Ooh,
all I have to do is see a screenshot or hear even the smallest bit of the soundtrack in that game, and I'm instantly like, ooh, yeah, I want to play.
Beast, though. I don't think I would.
Yeah.
Like such a beast.
So Brett, in the rest of your life, in the 20 years you have left in your life, you don't ever plan on playing Hollow Knight again?
Maybe not. No. I mean, Silksong's coming out. There's a lot of games I love that I've only played once,
I'll tell you what, last year was kind of the first year in a while that I decided I was going to at least set aside some time to prioritize replaying some stuff. And while I didn't, while I'm still playing a bunch of new stuff, I managed to play like 8 games last year, replay games, 8 games last year that I had already played before. And I'm going to keep doing that because I would hate to think that so many of these experiences that I've played and loved are going to be just like one time only and never played them again.
Well, the problem is you start remembering it less and less, right? You keep remembering it like how it was, but then when you start playing, you're like, wait a minute, I remember being different.
That is a factor, and that's actually one of the reasons I don't replay some games is because I'm worried that in I have these rose-tinted glasses, and I remember loving that game, and there's been multiple times where I've kind of re-picked up a game that I used to love.
Not liked it. Metroid
like
Fusion,
maybe I shouldn't have done this, and like
Metroid Fusion was
memory.
That was the big one.
I started replaying Final Fantasy VIII on my Switch the other day, and I still like that game a lot. But I'm experiencing what Nolan's talking about, just some of those rough edges.
You don't want to draw out fire 8,000 times.
I do not.
A good answer for me that actually might be resolved in the not too distant future is Wind Waker. I only played that once when it first came out. I never played it on the Wii U.
It's a little bit like a hassle, a little bit with like the swinging around and the controls and stuff, but it's still pretty good.
I played that re-release, and I actually replaying it dropped it down a little bit, in my opinion of it. So
no,
yeah, it just
crazy.
Like in my mind when I originally played it, it felt so like huge and
crazy. It is huge. It is crazy. It's just y'all complain about the water.
No.
Complain about sailing around. Everybody bitches about the sailing. Let's put a faster sail
I'm
in
more
there.
talking about how there's like very few dungeons and
But it's the exploration. It's the floating around the water. You can't recreate that. That's one of the reasons why I'll never play like where I won't. Not that I'll never play, but it's going to be a while before I play like Breath of the Wild again. It's just because
I don't think I'll
that
ever
experiencing the first time, like coming across something and being like, "What is this?"
Yeah.
You can't recreate that even if you play it the second time.
I will absolutely play Breath of the Wild again before the sequel comes out.
Really?
I think that's almost a bad idea.
Maybe.
Almost.
No, because
Almost.
you don't remember the
but not
first time.
quite.
You don't remember the first time you.
I have faith in you.
Discovered that lightning, like you be walking around and like the lightning's, and you're like, is that gonna hit me or? Like y'all
Well,
don't.
I'll tell you this. I'll tell you this. Any game that I put in like my top 10 games of all time is a game that I certainly don't want to like play it once and never play it again.
Sure. But like,
and
my top 10 games I've only played once.
What's that David Cage game?
Heavy Rain.
Heavy Rain. Can't play that game. I can't see myself playing that game again.
I mean, there are some games, just like there are some movies that like the whole point of like the whole like source of enjoyment of certain movies to me is watching it without knowing what's going to happen. And once you know what's going to happen, it's kind of like, why would I ever watch this again?
No, sure.
Even though I loved it. And that exists in video games too. But man, there's just some games I would hate to think like, oh, this is amazing, I loved it, but I'll never touch it again. You know, if we're going to talk about Zelda games I need to replay, like I still have only played Twilight Princess.
I went through that last year.
I've never finished Twilight Princess.
When you play Twilight Princess now, when you play Twilight Princess now, the world feels so small. You're like, what the hell is this shitty little map, dude? Like this little like square like circle like, and I can't imagine going back to like Ocarina of Time because that's even
that feels small
map.
too. But I've done that fairly recently too, and even though it's small, it obviously is small. It's still an amazing game.
There's a bunch of hidden stuff in Twilight Princess that I never.
I can't believe Nolan. I thought.
Wait, what? Nolan, you've never played Twilight Princess? Is that
never
what
finished?
No, I've never finished it.
It's
I definitely played
sluggish. It's the wolf stuff is kind of bad.
Yeah, but it gets good, and like some of the last dungeons. Ones, yeah.
Some of the stuff later on gets creative.
It's on my to do.
It has like a really, it has kind of a really distinct atmosphere for Zelda. And
I remember so little of that game.
All right, we gotta move on.
Probably because you only played it once.
We gotta move on.
Final question for tonight.
Tokyo Mirage Sessions. That's the one. Recently, I have a friend who's playing Tokyo Mirage Sessions on the Switch, and I played it on the Wii U. And there's all this stuff in the Switch version that's added, and I really want to replay that so I can go. It was fun. There's a lot of stuff to but it's like a 50-hour game, and I don't have time.
Quality of life stuff for sure. Yeah. Remaster.
All right, final question from Fuzzy Turd, also known as Kickapoo, or from.
I think he's
Kickapoo?
from Kickapoo.
I'm gonna call him Kickapoo now. So Kickapoo asks.
Kickapoo text.
There's a Kickapoo Road. I don't know if is that a town?
Oh,
I don't know. Anyway, moving on.
Go into Kickapoo Town.
Maybe. The Rat King fight in The Last of Us Part 2 was fucking terrifying and stressful, and a lot of that was due to the oppressive.
Is it a spoiler? Do I need to unplug my headphones?
No, it's not spoiler. Okay. Super intense atmosphere. The slower. They slowly drew you. That slowly drew you in. I think is what I meant to say. Can y'all think of a boss battle, or think of boss battles that really did a good job of creating a similarly powerful atmosphere?
So like atmospheric boss battles, not like memorable boss battles, right?
I think one of the reasons that they were saying that this particular boss battle was as stressful and intense was because of how this boss battle, since you haven't played it, David, it doesn't just start. Yeah, it's one of those situations where maybe you interact with the boss a little bit, or you kind of see them a glimpse, and then like kind of you get drawn in slowly into the battle, and then
over the course of the game, or you do
No,
over the course of the
over
battle?
the course of maybe like 10 minutes leading up to it.
It's very Resident Evil, honestly.
Yeah, so that's a good example. It's like a Resident Evil where maybe you'll see like an arm come out and almost grab you or something, and you kind of slowly see glimpses of them, kind of type deal.
Dang, dude, that was a conversation that I remember. They were talking about video game conversations that we had.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the Resident Evil Magic Man Wesker Chris punching a boulder conversation. That was a very memorable conversation we had.
It is true.
That was a good one.
It's true. Atmospheric bosses and stuff. I mean, I think Hollow Knight has a lot of good ones.
Well, I think he's specifically referring to what was special about that boss fight was that like you can feel it coming.
Yeah.
You know you're in a bad situation and something is about to go wrong and you're gonna have to you're gonna be in a fight.
Hollow Knight, stuff like that.
Which bosses in Hollow Knight did that? I mean,
when you go to like the underground spidery area.
Oh yeah. That's pretty good. Pretty good point. I forgot about that. The Abyss or whatever it's called.
I would like to nominate the Great Ape from Sekiro.
Ah, yes. Yeah. Fuck that ape.
Because that, first off, great fight to start, and then there's the twist, and then it decides to fuck you again later on.
Carlos has become the biggest Sekiro stan.
Yeah, like, I'm not even certain this is actually real.
And in the last month, he's beaten it like 5 times. He got the platinum.
I'm not certain I believe it.
You think it could be made up? I
think it may be just a whole, like, fucking con.
I thought maybe.
Can't you just check his account?
Yeah, but that would require effort.
Yeah, who has that?
We love to speculate, not check our facts.
I don't know if this counts necessarily, but I always think of like the first encounter with Pyramid Head in Silent Hill 2, how you keep seeing him in the apartment complex, and he's like hanging out and kind of like standing, like at one point you're walking down a hallway and he's standing behind these bars and he's just kind of like standing kind of like just outside of the threshold of the darkness that you can see into, and then he'll just like turn around and walk away, and then all of a sudden you walk into a room at the very end of that and he's like in this tiny ass little room with you and you have to like defend yourself. I mean, obviously combat in that game is kind of not good, but you definitely feel his presence a lot leading up to that fight, so that was a pretty good one.
Another one I would point to would be the Beast from Infamous 2.
I don't remember a single boss from Infamous 2.
Yeah.
The Beast
That's
was
game
like...
I'm surprised you haven't replayed, Nick.
Yeah, especially with the vampire
Have you ever played Festival of Blood?
I have not. I started it up and a bunch of zombies vampires were attacking me.
Festival of Blood is his singularity of DLC.
Yeah, but like the idea of the Beast is really good because it's like the ultimate threat they hint to you at heavily in the first game.
Oh right, you're talking about the thing that's slowly
you meet
going
him
down the map.
immediately at the beginning of the second game, and then you escape to the city. And then as time goes on, the game reminds you the Beast is on his way. He's 250 miles away. He's 100 miles away.
Can't you see him on the horizon?
Eventually, yes.
Horizon? Yeah. That's pretty cool. Yeah, I remember that. That was pretty dope. Infamous 2 is pretty good. I'd like to replay that game.
It's not a bad game at all.
Replay, though. You know, it's too like AAA disposable.
I'm sorry. What does that even mean?
Also, we'll never get to play Infamous 2 again because it's stuck on the PS3.
I mean, I have a PS3 sitting right there. So.
I don't want to hook up my PS3 for the sake of playing Infamous 2.
Here's the thing: you don't have to buy games again to be able to still play them. You just play them.
It's true. All right, and let's do one final question to end off the night. From Negative Cosine, would you rather, for the rest of your life, have to hold in your burps or your farts?
Burps, right?
Burps.
I burps. I agree.
Yeah.
But then again, wait. If you think about it, how
burps,
often do you ever really hold in your burps?
Not very, but
Yeah,
on
so-
the odd occasion, I do.
But
Yeah, but I mean, it's not that uncomfortable, right?
I feel like, don't you feel it in like your chest? And it's like, I mean,
Well,
think of
that's
it.
the thing.
If
You don't hold in your burps. That's why, it's not an actual issue.
Yeah, you're
but you actually
breathing
hold in your farts.
constantly.
But you would. The question implies that you would have to. So like if you were going to burp,
so you can't even just
hold
release pressure and like.
Can I fart when I'm taking a dump?
Yes, that's part of it.
I mean, I don't think you're necessarily farting so much as you're just moving everything that's in your body out of your body. So sure. But yes, I would agree that I would go with burps because I do not. Holding in my farts, I just get so uncomfortable when I have to do it. Like it's just like I don't like it.
Yeah,
I'd rather hold in my burps.
Bernadette likes it though, Nolan.
When I hold in my farts? Oh, she definitely likes it when I hold in my farts.
That's what I'm saying.
Nolan's like, I'm holding in my fart. She's like, I thank you for your service.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody appreciates being hotboxed, man.
I never said I do. I mean,
I'm just adding on to what Brad said.
Well, this right here is a conversation that I'll remember forever.
So I think y'all are misinterpreting. So would you rather not have Wi-Fi or not have running water?
What?
We misinterpreted his question. It should have been a completely different question.
What?
No,
what the fuck are you talking about?
Like, if you had to choose between always having good Wi-Fi, having Wi-Fi, or not having running water, which one would you pick?
Wait,
no Wi-Fi.
No Wi-Fi because it's Ethernet.
Wait, what do you mean?
I mean, not internet. I'm just saying internet in general. Sorry. Which one would you rather have, running water or internet?
I'd rather have
running water. Yeah, running water.
We've lived in a world where there was no internet.
You're gonna take a shower with some bottled water?
Well,
I mean, I'm gonna be honest.
I could fall in like a nice little spring or lake or something, and I could just do my business there. I could still drink bottles of water, right?
Sure. Sure.
You
could take a bath. You just have to lug the water in.
Oh,
yeah, and then heat it up.
I mean,
you gotta heat it up. You can take a cold bath.
Having internet ever again?
I mean,
no, he didn't say never internet. He said no Wi-Fi. There's a difference between no Wi-Fi
internet.
and
No internet. No internet.
Okay, well that's not what you said. So now the question's wrong.
Well, Wi-Fi I meant by like just internet.
Like, let's be clear here.
Internet, old man.
I'll bathe in cold.
All of us here, including everybody in chat, are addicted to the internet. The internet is a fundamental part of our society right now, but 30 years ago, it wasn't. Correct. Today, we still need water. We can't live without water.
No, I mean, that's the idea, but I think people can misinterpret it and think
I dream of the day
they can do without the water, that the internet's more important.
VTAC in chat says, I've been addicted to water my whole life.
Yep.
That's true.
Do not become addicted to the waters, my friends.
That's all the questions for this week. Like we've said before, but if you didn't know, we have a link to the Google form that you can fill out if you want to ask a question that is pinned in Discord. And don't you post it in the show notes, Nick? Or
I post the link in the supporters channel in Discord. So if you're a Twitch subscriber or a Patreon supporter, you should get that message when I post it. You don't even have to wait for the message. I also update the post on Patreon, but you don't have to wait for that update. You can literally go submit a question whenever you want. I just send reminders out on the day of the show.
You could do it right now.
Yeah, you could. You could totally go do it right now as you're listening to this. Yeah, and if you're interested in supporting us on Patreon, it's patreon.com/4player. But anyways, now let's wrap up the show with the 4-player minute. I'm going to let David go last, because he's going to filibuster the shit out of this show, apparently.
Well,
so
I just noticed that I'm much further back in my camera than all of you guys. You guys are all pretty framed in the center, and I've got all my games behind me.
I kind of like
Show
it.
off.
Remember, it's like no, it's not. He's not showing off. It just looks like he's podcasting from the back of a GameStop, like the stock room, which I find to be rather funny. Brad, you want to start us off with 4-player minute?
Yeah, sure. My hype for this week is, I was thinking, maybe I could pull some shit out of my ass for like some upcoming game, but I can't lie. I'm so hyped for Monster Hunter right now. I can't wait. I want March to come very soon.
When is Resident Evil 8 supposed to come out?
May.
Is it?
Oh yeah,
May
7th or something.
I was gonna say if it
my
was
sweat is for the new East game. I played
Why?
the and I was not a huge fan of what I played in the demo. It seemed like you were down in dungeons and sewers a bunch, and the camera was kind of wonky. And I was kind of looking into it, and some people like this one, some people don't. Now I'm worried that maybe I shouldn't even bother. I don't fucking know. But I'm still gonna try. I'm also worried about that new Bravely Default. I didn't realize that was a different developer, like a mobile game developer, is working on this new one. So who knows? We'll see. We're gonna wait for reviews on these.
I don't want to be offensive, but the way you talk about those games like that, it sounds like some guy whose like dick isn't working anymore. It's like a hard time getting it up, and you can't get excited about stuff.
I don't get it up for bad games, dude.
Oh,
but that's sad.
I had no
you should
idea.
Just be excited, dude. There's gonna be some day where you can't get any lunch at all, and you just.
There's plenty of games. There's plenty of fish in the GameStop. The fuck.
Apparently not.
My fuck you for this week goes to Konami, just because I hate Konami. They were kind of in the news because they did some restructuring and their games business is even smaller than it used to be or some shit. I don't know. But, fuck you, games, Konami. Either go away and sell your
GameStop
or make some games, because it's really annoying. They're just holding all this IP hostage and literally doing nothing with it. I wonder if the reason they can't just be bought or sell off their IP is because of weird ties or some shit. Who knows? But it's very strange. They're just like this old Japanese company, and maybe it just doesn't work the way we think it does. I don't know. And my thank you for this week goes to, I don't know. I'm going to give it to my wife. She's a really great wife, and she,
what was that? What was the category?
My thank you for this week.
Oh, okay. I thought y'all had a fuck you at the end, too.
My fuck you this week goes to my wife.
Maybe later. You know what I'm saying? No, she's...
Dick not working.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
This could go so terribly.
Oh my lord. Wait, are you done, Brad? Was that the end of your...
That's it.
Wow, that was fast.
Look,
Nolan?
It's not about making my 4-player minute long. It's about making y'all's longer.
Can they make a pill for that?
Nolan, your turn.
All right. My 4-player minute starts now. My hype is for more Hitman. Playing Hitman 3 is really kind of like reinvigorated my love for the series, and I definitely want to go back and replay some of the Hitman 1 and 2 levels that either I never finished or I never revisited, especially now that, like I said, I've been playing Hitman 3 with Bernadette and just kind of having fun playing those games and kind of, doing all the wacky stuff, which leads into my sweat. Is Hitman VR. I guess I can't play the VR with the Hitman 3 for the PS5.
Right.
I don't really know. I haven't figured it out. It doesn't really give me an option.
I saw an option in the menu to unlock access to VR, and it was just go to the store and get it or something.
Okay, maybe I missed that then.
And it didn't work. So I don't know what's going on, but I think their whole menu system is so fucking confusing. Anyway.
Yeah,
it's bad. Especially with the triggers and the triggers and the bumpers and the.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Real quick, is there a reason for me to play? Would I go play Hitman 1 and 2 on the original, or can I play it in the 3?
If you own them, you can play it in 3.
It's better to play it as 3, or is it actually different?
Yeah. It's like they say, the new features and stuff are backwards compatible or something.
Correct.
Will it load faster?
Yes.
Okay.
It will.
Okay.
Hey, Nick got his. My thank you goes to Call of Duty Warzone players. I've been playing Call of Duty Warzone the past couple of weeks. And I've actually run into a lot of really nice people in Warzone. When I first started, I was kind of running into some assholes. But then the past few days, I've been running into some really nice people who've been like, "Hey, dude, you want to maybe add me? We can friend up and we can play some games together." And just having some delightful conversations with just random strangers. And it's been so long since that's happened in a multiplayer game. Just kind of meeting up with people. One of the funniest situations was. Because Warzone is crossplay, I end up playing with a lot of people playing on PlayStation, people playing on Xbox. and you get a little icon next to the person that shows the system they're playing on, and if they're playing with a controller or mouse and keyboard. And so I came across these random guys, and they're like, "Oh, this guy's got a keyboard, Mr. Tryhard up in here." And I was like, playing on computer, so yes, I have a keyboard. And then like we ended up like winning the match. And like towards the end of it, like the guy was like, "Hey man, you want to add me as a friend? Like, you wanna play some more matches together?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure."
Making friends.
Yeah.
Through the power of PC gaming.
A week ago, I had 0 Activision friends, and now I have 9.
By Activision friends, you mean it's an Activision service, or?
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm playing through their BattleNet or whatever. But anyway, and then my fuck you this week is going to go to Capcom for their shitty Monster Hunter Rise demo. That without Brad, I wouldn't even want to play the game.
That sounds like a more you problem, buddy.
Trust me, David, it is not. It is fucking not. The fact
get back into there. Respond, Brad. Respond.
I'm an experienced video game player, and the fact that within 40 minutes of playing, not even 40, after 30 minutes, I did not want to play that demo anymore. I was fed up with it. And Brad was like, "Oh, just go watch a YouTube video." I don't want to fucking go watch a YouTube video to learn how to play a demo.
You did
like,
for
make
that
better demos.
Game in Yakuza.
Yeah, that's true. Make better demos. Hold on, I will say, Brad, by the time I had tried to figure out how to play that mini game, I was already in love with Yakuza 7. So that was just me learning to be better at a game I already liked. This was me not wanting to even continue playing a game because it put such a bad taste in my mouth within 10 minutes.
Were you playing 7?
What?
Yeah.
How far are you in that? Just out of curiosity.
Chapter 12 or 13. I still haven't finished it yet. I need to.
Well, I'll say my thank you is for all of y'all showing up and playing some 4-player Monster Hunter with me.
Yeah, it was fun.
I'll do it again when the game actually comes out.
Dang.
Chris Davis, it's your turn.
All right. My first type this week is a very obvious one. It is for the trailer for Godzilla vs. Kong.
He's ready for Godzilla to win.
Who's ready for a fucking great-looking, fun movie? Of course,
you know when that
to the death.
You know when that trailer lost me? Sorry, it didn't.
When
lose
it
me,
started,
let
me guess.
No. I mean, it was pretty close to the beginning, but
Fuck you.
There's a shot of Kong on this magic boat carrying him across the ocean, and I was like, "There's no way that any boat would ever be able to hold the weight of Kong." And then there's a shot of him slamming his fist down on the boat while it's floating on the ocean. I was like, "There's no
Bruh,
no way."
There are ships that literally carry entire oil tankers and aircraft carriers.
Nick, you realize there are tanker ships that carry cargo containers, and there are ships that can carry multiple of those cargo container ships.
Yeah.
What are they?
There's
called?
some pretty
They're
fucking big
fucking
ships.
gigantic.
Nick,
We are talking about King Kong, right?
Correct.
Yes.
Let me ask you a question. Can I ask you a question about King Kong?
I thought the
Nick?
trailer looked
Nick, you realize King Kong's only 25 feet tall, right?
Not
That's a joke. I have no idea how tall he is.
Nick, at any point in this trailer, are you able to see King Kong's dong?
King Kong?
Not that I noticed.
They
no.
hide the King
He's
Kong
not
dong.
wearing pants, is he?
They hide the King Kong dong. He's a very furry guy.
You know what? David brings up a good point. I watched the entirety of Skull Island last weekend. Good movie. How did they hide that? How did they hide the dong? That's what I want to know.
He's a very hairy fella.
I mean,
just like you, Nick.
I'm not going to touch that one with the 10-foot pole. Chris Davis, keep going with your 4-player minute.
Anyway,
I doubt it's 10 foot. I mean, it could be 10 foot. But the hair hides it.
Well, it's on the metric system, so we'll do the math later. But yeah, I'm actually thinking about renting one of the Alamo theaters just for this. So if y'all want to do this,
For yourself?
Yeah, that's how they're staying in business right now. So dude, it's at the end of March. We'll be okay. Let's all be hopeful and let's go have a fun time at a movie.
Wait, you rent it for how many people? It's just 4 y'all, the 4
up to 30.
It's no. Here's the thing. Here's the thing about this Alamo thing. You rent the theater.
Mm-hmm.
There's a minimum drink order or food and drink order you have to fulfill,
Right.
and in addition to paying to rent the theater, everybody who goes with you to buy a ticket.
Yes.
So
Yeah, that's about right though, right? Because you end up buying
it-
food anyways.
That's
right?
fine.
It makes sense, but I'm not going inside a theater before in March.
That's
I'm
not correct.
My second hype this week is for another movie who got a trailer today. It's for Shin Ultraman.
Really?
Evidently, they gave the
Shin is
Ultraman
new.
license to Shinji Higuchi and Hideki Anno to make their own like Ultraman movie, and they're doing it in the exact same style they did Shin Godzilla 4 years ago. And it looks just fucking like it, but with fucking Ultraman. So, I mean, if you haven't seen the trailer, go fucking look it up. If you enjoyed, especially if you enjoyed Shin Godzilla. My third hype this week is for the Ace Combat franchise. Last week, it was announced that they sold over 2.5 million copies worldwide, making it the best-selling game in the entire franchise. And to celebrate, right before that announcement, they released some new skins and DLC. So it sounds to me like Bandai Namco is really satisfied with what Project Aces has did, and we may yet get an Ace Combat 8. So I'm really hyped for that.
How big are the penises on the Ace Combat jets?
I mean, that's Zone of the Enders. That's Konami. That's a different franchise.
It is true. Zone of the Enders cockpits were actually in the
Literal cockpits.
Yeah.
What is wrong with you people?
And my fuck you goes to CD Projekt Red. CD Projekt Red is trying to make good, and they put out a new patch trying to fix a bunch of bugs, and they released modding tools. And as part of the modding tools, they released to the community. People are messing around, see what they can do. And somebody made a mod to where you could have your character have sex with Keanu Reeves. And CDPR got a little upset about that and took that down. Like, come on, guys! Like, people want to get on that.
Into, like, issues in the past.
Yeah, I agree with CD Projekt Red on that. It's different if they would let you like fuck like V or something. V's not a person. Keanu Reeves is a real person, and I'm sure
that was probably
like that. It might be in this contract that.
I was gonna say he might have a contract that kind of.
Didn't that happen
that,
with like Ellen Page or whatever, where like they modded in like some nudity or whatever?
What was that?
Beyond,
what was that game?
Beyond
Two Souls. Yeah, they modded to make her appear naked or whatever, and that's
also,
it's not cool when it's a real person.
It could have very specifically been at Keanu Reeves' request. He could have been like, yeah, I'm not okay with this. Which, that's his call for sure.
I mean, I'm just saying that the fact that this mod comes out so quickly after the mod tools come out, that's probably code that they just probably refreshed and opened up. So, like the good old hot coffee from San Andreas. But, whatever. That's the end of my 4-player minute.
Is Green Tea is talking about Cyberpunk? He said there's a first-person section where you bang a girl.
Where you're playing as Johnny and you bang a girl. I didn't get that far.
You get to see your Keanu Wiener?
No,
all right.
but there is sex.
All right, I am going to do mine next. My 4-player minute starts now. My hype this week goes to Biomutant. Got a release date.
Really?
Miraculously, it's getting a release date in May, coming out in May.
What is that game about?
I'm not certain I believe it.
May is getting very crowded, but it's coming out May 21st. So again, that game could go either way, obviously. But I really liked what I played at E3, and I've been worried about the game for a while, so I'm eager to actually get my hands on it. It looks like it could be really cool.
May 21st.
May 21st.
Putting it down on my calendar.
My sweat goes to Dying Light 2. There's talk of a re-reveal of the game might be on the horizon very soon.
There's a collector's edition floating out around there that looks pretty accurate.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's also kind of like the rumor is that it's a re-reveal, which makes it sound like maybe it's changed. The project has shifted gears and changed a little bit since we last saw it. We haven't seen it since E3 2 years ago. I personally, every time I've seen that game demonstrated, I thought it looked amazing. So I'm a little worried that when it finally does show its face again, it's gonna be not the project I was super excited for anymore. But I don't know. Who knows? My thank you of the week goes to Colorware. Released a new line of customizable DualSense controllers. They do these like really cool like custom colorized controllers where you get to pick like the color of the like the wings on the side, the buttons, the touchpad, everything. I know, and I bought one. But it looks sexy as hell. I'm very excited for it.
I agree. I from your tweet, I ended up looking into them, and while they do look real fucking good, like
hell.
I can't justify one right now.
Yeah,
but maybe the next time I buy one, I might look into them.
Yeah.
What if they're not even good though? Like,
well, I'm gonna wait till Nick gets his, and if he tells me they're good, then I'll.
No,
sure.
I'm sure they're fine. But what if like the actual?
I've seen some people. I've seen some people. No, it's a PlayStation 5 controller.
I know, but I'm saying, what if the PlayStation 5 controller sucks? Like, what if
but
this
it doesn't?
model?
We've used it.
I know, but like, there's a lot of like new tech in there. What if all of a sudden, you know, like 3 months from now, everyone's fucking triggers start fucking breaking or whatever, and now you like when you bought like an Elite controller, you got
I spent
like
$130 on a controller I shouldn't have. What do you want me to tell you?
No, sure,
He's honest
sure.
about it,
But
dude.
you,
I mean, I'm not gonna like cry
though,
myself
right?
to sleep at night if something like that happens.
You know what I'm saying?
I knew the risks.
You're spending a lot of money on something that is
Yeah.
cheaper, designed to be cheaper, and for all we
Replaceable.
know, the thing could be start fucking falling apart.
It could.
You know,
It
it's
could,
a little
and
different than a Elite controller situation, is what I'm
I know,
saying.
and if
Elite
that happens,
controllers are not that.
if that happens, fuck
Well,
me.
sure.
I made the wrong decision. But you know what? I
We'll-
needed a second
we'll find
controller,
out.
and they look nice as hell. So I went for it. I said fuck it, and I went for it.
What color is this?
I mean, the one I
Multiple
got
colors.
is it's super customizable. Mine's like this like metallic
Black.
bluish color on the side with this abyss color in the middle. It looks pretty cool.
And also, it has a standard
just like
1-year
your soul.
warranty. So if it fucks up early, then you just get it replaced.
I'm sure it'll be fine. And my fuck you of the week goes to Warner Brothers. There's a lot of talk this week about Warner Brothers is very, you know, I feel like they're saying the quiet part out loud when they're like, oh yeah, we're gonna do a major emphasis on live services in all of our future games, and I'm just like, no, this is no. It makes me worried about Gotham Knights. It makes me worried about Hogwarts Legacy. It makes me worried about just anything with WB's name on it if they're going to just start trying to turn everything into a games as a service type thing. I mean, this might just mean that like all their games have some kind of live component, which I would be fine with, obviously. But like if all their games start shifting to like full blown games as a service, I'm gonna be upset. But yeah, that's my 4-player minute. And now, David, it's your turn. You're up.
Cool.
Okay, this is not an actual
That's to be
filibuster.
Mr. Smith
I'm
goes to
not gonna-
Washington over here.
So
Yeah.
my shame for this week, I mentioned Ladybugs earlier this in the podcast. You guys don't remember that movie? There's a girl in
I've
Ladybugs.
never seen it.
No.
When that movie came out, I was like 11, and there was a girl in the show, and I was like, wow, she's really pretty. And you have like kind of that first like young crush where you're like kind of like, you know, you don't know what those feelings
I am
mean.
aware.
Yeah, but like I watched that movie recently, and I'm like, wow, she's still pretty attractive. And I don't know if that's like 11-year-old David like thinking or like.
Oh, but she's not 11 in the movie.
No, she's 16 in the movie.
Oh, that makes
She
it
was
so much
16
better.
when the movie came out, and I was 11 when I saw the movie. So
it's
like,
still better. It's still better.
is it okay to be kind of like, am I like living in the past or?
No,
I don't know. That-
Am I living in the past, or is this just weird?
I
That's what I'm
mean,
saying. It's difficult to to defend myself because I also am into idols, and there's a bunch of
yeah, that's a
16-year-old
whole
spheres.
other conversation. Unrelated
No.
to that, I think this might be okay.
Okay.
As long
My
as you're
sweat-
not like lusting after her or something.
Well, if this scene
What?
is
Okay. Why would you say that, Brad? Why would you say you
Yeah.
can
if
believe
you
that?
go back and watch that scene now, it's pretty kind of like inappropriate, right? Especially now.
I'm
nowadays.
playing David off. This is.
Why? It's pretty inappropriate now. If you go look back on that scene, you're like, she's 16.
I don't even-
They have her like running around in that outfit. That's
I don't even.
How old was the actress in real life?
16. That's what I'm saying. She was like 1976, 1972, but the movie came out like 1992.
What even is this movie? Okay, no, sorry.
What's
that's
your
a
hype?
question. Yeah,
And,
That would make her 20 if those.
no,
dates
it's
were-
16.
Oh, you
I
said
said 76. Sorry.
Oh, 76. Okay.
Anyways, my sweat for this week. When am I going to go back to Japan again? Like I looked at my. It was like January 25th last year. Last year at this time, I was in Japan. I literally missed the Corona lockdown. I was in China when the coronavirus started sprouting up, and then they locked China completely down, and I just left China. I spent like 2 weeks in Japan.
It was David's fault.
And I've never, that was the last time I went to Japan. And who knows when I can go back to Japan again?
You can go back next year.
It's not even open yet, though. And who knows when is it? They have like a state of emergency right now. Like all the idol shows have to end by 8 p.m.
Yeah, but no, did you not hear the news about the vaccine license they got?
Who, in Japan?
Yeah, they've got the license to produce 90 million doses. They're going to cover the entire population inside of the next year.
we hope.
Okay, cool.
They want to have it done by the summer so they can actually do the Olympics.
Have the Olympics. Yeah,
because they were supposed to do it last year.
Well, I'm still sweating about it, though. My hype, Mario 3D World, because that game comes out on Switch in a couple weeks. I played that game all the way through, but it was kind of difficult. So I played it all the way through with a co-op partner to where like one of us would die. We're just like, okay, you stay alive, and then I'll come back, and we futzed through that game. So I actually don't even remember how like difficult that game was, but I remember it being kind of challenging.
Really
Sorry?
hard. But in the post credits, it gets extremely difficult.
Post credits?
Yeah. There's like 3 other fucking worlds in the post credits.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, I'm kind of excited about it. I got it. Best Buy is like sending out coupons right now for the Mario 35th anniversary. It's $10 off your choice of a Mario game, and lo and behold, the coupon is working on the 3D world. So I picked it up. It's going to cost me like $25. So I'm really excited about that. My fuck you for this week goes to Yakuza Remastered, because I already own it on PS4. I got really excited to pick it up to play Yakuza 5 so I could play the Haruka portions. And then now... Huh?
It's on Game Pass.
Yeah, now it's on Game Pass, and I'm just like, should I pick it up again? Or
No. You have it.
play it on Xbox? Yeah, but Chivos, dude. And then
Play it on Game Pass.
it's $20 for the Yakuza 5 or $40 for the whole thing. I don't know. Maybe I'll do it. Maybe not. And I'm squeezing a real thank you real quick to the Battleborn players. Nolan reminded me that I got online and I played some Battleborn the last couple weeks, and the people playing Battleborn right now are super, super nice. They like all want to help you and like want to help you get through all your missions, and like are explaining the back lore and everything. So,
They're like Japanese Monster Hunter players.
yeah, they're all like, oh yeah, explain. And then we just ran some like multiplayer games, and like I was always the worst guy, like 17 deaths and like 1 kill or something like that.
They're just so happy to have someone to play with.
Yeah, they're just enjoying the last couple weeks. It's been extended, so you got.
There are
3
dozens
days.
of us.
There's like 3 more.
Literally
days
down to
before
dozens
we
of
shut
us.
down But yeah, it's been fun, and I got through the story campaign, so
Cool.
I recommend you guys trying it out before they shut it down.
Sorry, it's probably not going to happen, but I appreciate the sentiment. All right, guys, thank you so much for listening tonight. It's been a journey. Anyways,
5 minutes,
of course,
41 seconds. That's my official time for today.
I was expecting a lot longer, so thank you for that.
Well,
Anyways,
I didn't want you to blow a gasket.
thank you. I appreciate your sensitivity to that. All right, guys, thank you so much for listening. 4playernetwork.com is the website, of course. We'll be back next Thursday for another episode. We are working on our top 10 games of 2020, so keep your eyes peeled for that.
Oh, cool.
But yeah, thanks for listening, and we'll catch you guys next week.
Bye.
Night.